gotta make a choice. So many whispers in my ear that I can't hear my voice. Tell me, will it end the situation that I'm in? Or am I bound to sit alone, drowning in my sin? Get right or get left.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros podcast. I'm your host, Resident Darrell, and tonight I got Tbyrd.
What's up?
And then we got CJ. I was gonna make a pickle joke, but you know what? We just got CJ.
I'm an clutch CJ. Hey guys,
There you
I'm good. I hear you're pretty tired. It's been a week. I understand.
It really has, man. It really has. All the mandates, and the mask wearing and working. It's been a little tired, man. Not gonna lie.
Well, look, I understand, and I appreciate that you remembered my name, unlike your wonderful commander-in-chief that wouldn't have a clue who's leading this country, despite signing a massive deal, which is nothing to America because billions of dollars are just on the ground there. But for here, we're going to have to rape the French to get our money back so we can afford to pay that. It's going to be brutal, I can tell you, sir.
I'm pretty sure he would introduce you as Corn Pop. Come on, man. Yeah, it's been a very interesting week. It's very. I think one of your buddies came on here before, and he was like, made some kind of comment about how the whole world thought we were dumb for Trump. Oh boy, they're laughing at us now. Actually, I think we're past the point of laughing. I think now they're just like, oh,
we feel kind of bad about these guys now.
Yeah, even the Taliban are like, dang guys, we're sorry.
Jesus.
We're sorry, but we're not giving back your stuff.
Yeah, these are my helicopters now, but we sorry.
That's all right. He's already forgotten about them anyway.
Yeah. What's the Taliban? What's Afghanistan? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my screen just went black on my PC. Pretty sure the FBI was listening in on that last joke.
Nah, man, this is America. We have freedom of speech, right?
So we gave that away a long time ago.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a little alarming. I can hear y'all, but I have a black screen.
Is it asleep?
I don't know.
I wiggled a mouse.
I did.
Oh no,
I am. Yeah. This is the. Oh, here we go, and just like Joe Biden is back. All right, it just zoned out for a little bit.
Did you have to rewrite a script and make sure you didn't call on the wrong people?
My computer just fell up the stairs.
And just like Joe Biden, it came back from the dead.
That's right.
Oh my god.
All right. So on your end, can you see the waves?
Yeah.
Hey, you good,
sir. All right. Well, we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna see what happens. All right. So that's right, guys, gals, lady guys. This is the Loot Bros podcast. Every now and again, we get together, talk about video games, make a couple Biden jokes, crack some toasts to some awesome Patreon producers. We got CJ. My name is effing Mayo and MZ Nitro. And also, this week's toast, we're going to do something a little special. I'm sure you can hear my wife yelling in the background like a whole redneck. Y'all make sure you feed the dogs. But yes, this week we are going to toast to our man, Mr. Everything's a Masterpiece, Levi. Welcome to the dark side. He got himself a PlayStation 5.
Did he actually get one, did he?
Yeah, he did. He did. He heard something about the haptic feedbacks. Had to go get it. And then I also want to give crack a little toast. I thought the THQ showcase was, it was what it was. It was enjoyable for what it was. But
it was good for about 5 minutes, and then it went downhill.
Oh my gosh, that opening with Destroy All Humans and Rammstein Living in America was freaking amazing. And Jeff Keighley talking about anal probes.
Oh, so we're toasting the anal probe. All right.
Toasting the anal probes. All right, guys, we've had a very interesting conversation to start the show off. So why don't, CJ, you haven't been here in a little while. Why don't you tell us what all you've been playing?
Yeah, well, not a lot of PlayStation, none at all actually, but which has been
Mr. 100,000 achievement
it's
points.
been
God, no.
Jeez.
it's been quite refreshing. But it's funny because 2 weeks ago, I think was the last time I played. I played a little bit of the medium, or whatever, probably just the first hour. And I know like we've all played that on Xbox or wherever else. And I think you mentioned Darrell, you might do it again on PlayStation. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't finish it on PC.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm
PC.
gonna play it on PlayStation.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I played. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I'm probably gonna play again on PS5.
Yeah, it's this really cool thing of like when you played it on one system, you want to see what it looks like on the other. So I just played a little bit of it or whatever. It looks great or whatever. So I look forward to getting into that. If you haven't played that, you definitely should. It's on both systems and PC by the sound of it. But yeah, mainly Xbox stuff and a lot of Xbox stuff actually. It's funny, we've been doing this event with Mephisto, Rogue, 1992, and this Pad Eye's English or Irish guy. Anyway, this team event of just degenerates, listeners, just total achievement degenerates or whatever. And you'll find this funny, like this one dude, he spent the whole year, I think it's just the way he plays, like he sets games up or whatever, like he puts saves in games right before achievements. And this practice is known as preloading, apparently. So you put all these games in various states so that you can quickly unlock the achievements or whatever. So obviously you're loving the games if you do this. The content is really important to you if you're whacking these saves in. But anyway, Darrell and Tanner, he'd done
That's
this,
hilarious.
and he wasn't doing it for a specific date. I think that's just like his OCD, like he's just been doing it and doing it for so long now. And so he decided to join this event, and he just decided to, release the blue balls or whatever. And he pumped out like 240 or 213 or 230,000 gamer score in 24 hours with
Oh,
this
Lord.
with this save manipulate, like sort of preloading or whatever else. So they've been uncatchable, but we've been going along. We had a few like minor meltdowns, as you can expect, between high egotistical achievement hunters, but it turned out all right, and it's been quite fun for me because obviously Meth and Rogue are sort of number 1 and 2 in Australia, and that's their main console or whatever. I'm sort of split between both, but to see the way they sort of play, and they are sort of high volume players, but on the Xbox there's a lot less. Gotta be careful here. I don't want to say a lot less games, but there's a lot less spam. On the PlayStation, we get like at least 4 stacks of every game, and sometimes 6 or 8 with at Hong Kong and Japan. So there's a ton of games. So it's not so much about will I have enough to play. It's much more, do I have enough time? Whereas on the Xbox, it's like there's only one of each game, and then there are some games on there that don't come to PlayStation, but also vice versa. So it's much more a situation of like, what will I play next, or do I have enough games to even earn 100,000 in 2 weeks? And I'm still lucky because like still low gamer score of 400,000 or something. But these guys are like, well, these guys are like 1.6 or 1.5 million. So they obviously
Right.
don't have the number of games to draw on, and they're definitely like, I've noticed this, like the top levels of the PlayStation board, it's definitely spam heavy. It's like the skill is in how quickly can you play these short games and how can you get them. On the Xbox side, because you got to play sort of everything, you can't just play these short games, you got to play skill games. I think by and large they are very skillful gamers, and they're also very quick at playing games like a platformer where I might die and spend 20 minutes just to get through a bit or whatever, they're through on their first or second go. So I think on the Xbox side, at that very top end of the board, there are a lot of very skillful gamers. Perhaps not so much on the PlayStation side. But look, as far as games, I threw one out for you, Darrell. You probably haven't had time to play it yet because I only finished it the other day and mentioned. But the Artful Escape. I don't know if any of you have seen this.
I have not tried that out yet.
So it's cool. I think you'd like it too, Tanner. It's developed, or no, sorry, I should say published by Annapurna as well, not developed, but again by a small team over years and years. And basically it's a rock opera, if you like. It's a walking sim with some very light platforming, but it's very simple. There is some rhythm game in it as well, but that's quite simple as well. So it's not like your rhythm game where you can fail. You sort of like it. It shows you the sequence to push, and then you push it. But if you get it wrong, it sort of repeats, and it does it in sections. So it's definitely manageable for everybody. There's no sort of backstepping because you can't get through a section. And it's probably around 3 to 4 hours if you if you engage in all the dialogue, and it is read to you. It's all narrated. There's some very good voice acting. It's really beautiful.
You gotta have it read to me.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. But the real hook in this is obviously you start off as this folk guitarist, and your uncle was like this god of guitar or whatever else, and you're sort of coming up in his shadow, but you're breaking away from the folk scene and getting into this rock scene, and you end up in this sort of alternate parallel universe with like these rock god aliens and humans that play, guitar or whatever. And it's really awesome because when you jump, you have the option of holding the Y button, and which sort of floats you. But as you float, you're sort of wailing on the guitar as well, so that extends your jump and over the platforms, which it's really cool. And then even in the music rhythm sections, there's a bit of freedom in which button you push. And of course, it puts down different chords. Like you're not going to write a song in here, but you do have control. And what's cool is, unlike most rhythm games where it has to be in time with what you're given, you can actually change the beat. So they play you something and then you can change to the speed or the beat of what you like. And it's actually, it's pretty cool. It sort of sounds complex, but it's not. And probably the only detraction of this game is it's very slow start. The first hour is just sort of getting into it, but if you get past that into the last few hours, it's a really fun, easy game to finish, but really fun experience. So that's probably out of the 95 games I've played so far in the last 2 weeks, that's probably the one I've enjoyed most. But also, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it, Darrell, also Evil Existence. Have to throw some love in there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
totally janky, and I know you're going to rip it to shreds as a piece of shit. And it is a total Resident Evil ripoff, like even opening the door and everything. But
Oh, everything about it.
yeah, I'll let you talk about it. But I really enjoyed that, and it is on PlayStation. I'm not sure if it has a plat, possibly.
It does.
Yeah, cool. So there's no reason.
No. I lied. It does not have a plat, actually.
Well, it's very short
But
anyway. Yeah. Yeah, so it's worth a look, and I'll let you talk about the last one I'll put out only because JT sent me a message this morning, cryptic message, as it always is with the man, the myth that is effing Mayo, and he asked, I'm going to start because he's playing every game available at the moment, which is impressive. Tip my hat to you, sir. And he asked about Life is Strange, the True Colors, the new Life is Strange. And he goes, I'm going to play that next after I've played everything else that's available to man. Or whatever else. And I just want to know, will it piss me off like the second one did? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. But I sort of very briefly, because obviously Life is Strange is a highly narrative game, so you can't talk about the story without ruining it. But it is more of the same of 2. It's definitely not my favorite one. I like 2 the best, and I know most people hate 2 or whatever, but it's good. It's really slow in the first 3 chapters, but the last 2 chapters are very, very good, I thought. The game is way shorter than the normal Life is Strange, about 5 to 6 hours. The music in this is fantastic. If you don't have much interest in the story, perhaps the music will be the redeeming feature. And I found out it has a couple of Australian artists, Julia and Angus Stone, as well in there. Apparently, styling informed me, luckily, the other day. So there's some really cool music in there. The core relationships which Life is Strange is built on, it didn't really work for me. The game felt like the story was all over the place, but it does make sense when you get to the end. But I don't think it has the connection that the earlier games had. But then having said that, Darrell, I enjoyed it so much that I went and bought it on the PlayStation last night and started playing it there as well.
Go.
So
that's a good sign.
Yeah, I think
Did they say hella a lot?
No, there's no hella in this at all.
Oh,
so
that's hella lame.
yeah, it's sort of a funny game because like they had Tell Me Why or whatever else after Life is Strange 2, only on the Xbox, which was still in that same vein, like still young, young teenager or sort of teenager sort of age set. This one is still set like, late teenager, early adult, but it definitely leans into that angle more. It's more about life problems or life situations of the adults, I suppose, as opposed to that younger thing. But it's a real, like, this time it wasn't made by the French studio Don't Nod. It was made by a Deck 9, which is actually in America. And all these games have always had a really wonderful, like, feel of small town America, says the Australian who doesn't live in small town America. But it feels like that. But then it's made by a French studio too that doesn't live there either. And I thought they always captured that sort of well. This one, because I think it is an American developer, it's set in like this mountain town, and it really does feel like this small American mountain town. And I think there's a lot less of those, hellas and all that sort of American, just to make it sound American. It's more realistic, I think. I mean, you'd have to play it to see what you thought, but I didn't. It didn't strike me as they were really trying to sell that. It just naturally, it felt like small town America in the mountains or whatever. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth playing. It might be worth waiting because on the 30th of September they're adding DLC, which is a little bit. I don't know how long it will be, but it actually goes before the main part of the game. So perhaps if you want the through line, you might be better to wait and play that and then play into the main game, I suppose.
Interesting. Is it now? Does the game play better than the original? I only played the first Life is Strange. It didn't really click for me, and I didn't play any of the others. But does it actually? Are they progressing? Are they playing better, or is it kind of like Telltale? What you get in the beginning is pretty much what you got throughout the series.
They're progressing, but I think they're progressing in a way that gamers perhaps won't enjoy because, like in the first one, there were some light puzzle elements, like very light, but they were still there. And each game since then, they've been getting less and less. To this point, there were no puzzle elements at all in the game. It's literally like you always know where you're going because it can tell you in the menu, but you're literally going from sort of character to other character for dialogue. And like the ending is like a sort of a monologue between two, and I'm not going to talk about it, but it's between sort of a couple of characters, and it goes for like 15 minutes. So they're definitely leaning more into this movie style of game, and it's the sort of game that rewards you just for like just doing nothing and just waiting, because if you go on the bridge and you just stand there for a while, it'll go to sort of like a cut scene, and then you'll get the music is coming, and they'll just play you like a whole indie track. Or you can go to the record store and there's a listening booth and you can just listen to different songs. There's no achievement for that, there's no trophy, but it's just sort of like you could almost have it on in the background while you're working, and they're just the full tracks or whatever. So it's a really relaxing game, and it's obviously that's the way they're heading, highly narrative, almost a passive gaming experience. But if you don't like that, then I think you're gonna hate 2 in particular, and you're probably not gonna like this one either, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, that sounds like a lot.
Hey man, that's what we have you on here for. Talk about all the freaking games, man. All the Game Pass games.
Well, all I'll say, like, I don't want to go down the trophy side too much, or the achievement side, but one of the things I noticed, and like the people that are playing a lot, and I know like Style, and there's a few other people setting themselves up for competitions later this year or next year, and when you do this, like you're always acquiring games that you're not playing, and you're sort of making lists, and you know roughly how long things go for. And I didn't have a lot of the short title updates because I'd done them before, but I managed to knock out almost 100,000 without having to rely on video guides. And while I don't
Oh
mind
wow.
guides, they're really boring to sit there and play a game with it. And yeah, I use some text guides and I use some hints, but overall, there are definitely enough games there now. And I'm not just talking the short 2-minute title updates, like good, indie games that you can work your way through without having to rely on a video guide. So if you're like, I'm not going to play these games, 2-hour games, and follow a guide, but or whatever, you can work them out yourself in similar time to the guide. I know there are some you definitely can't, but there is definitely enough there that you can, or whatever. And I think the other thing, because I know there'll be people listening going, it's just fucking insane to play that much in 2 weeks. But one of the things that I've been doing for about a year now is, and I think it's a really good way to hunt, because we've heard people bitch and moan about how they hate it or they burn out, but is just pick like a month or pick 2 weeks and just go really ham on it, and then not do them again for 6 months and let them build up and do it that way. Because I think for me, and from seeing and talking to others, it's this weekly drain of playing all these games every week that gets to you. Whereas if you just, and it sounds like you've been playing hours and hours, but probably only 4 to 5 hours a day, which might be a lot to some, but it's not crazy. And you get through basically everything in 2 weeks that's been building up for like 3 or 4 months if you stay on top of it. So, if you are interested in that side of things, and I know not many are, but if you are, it's quite a good way to play rather than, waste, an hour here and there every week, or, every couple of days doing them. Let them all build up or whatever, and then just go ham on them all at once.
I do the same thing with my wife.
The once a year.
Let it build up for 6 months and then go ham on her.
Well, see, I don't know. It might cost you even more with your wife than it does the games.
I mean, hey man, you're gonna pay for it regardless.
That's right.
Tbyrd, what you been playing?
Really boring. I'm still just playing Destiny.
All right. I'm assuming you've done all there is to do.
No, I haven't even. I can't do like certain in-game events. I can't do certain in-game activities yet because I'm not leveled and I don't have a full team to play with yet. But still got to find one.
Still got to find your squad.
Yeah.
Crew. Whatever. So I guess you can't get my brother and Bingo and them to join in with you.
No. I mean, I could probably get Bingo to do it, but your brother, no way.
What happened to Luke? Luke was talking about coming on the show just to talk Destiny.
He don't play enough. He don't do anything anymore. He just works.
So he just tinkers.
Yeah. I mean, he plays a lot, but he didn't. I don't know if he's played the new stuff yet, but
so he's just doing the same old.
Yep.
He sent me like a screenshot with like 2,000 hours in Destiny.
Oh, I saw it.
I was like, yeah.
I probably had half that in the first one.
Oof. That's so intimidating for me. Like, granted, if you take all the games, shoot, you can take all the Rattle Like games. I probably got 1,000 hours on them. But I mean, just if you stretch out all the games I play, like you could probably get there. But oh man, I remember when I hit 130 hours in Resident Evil 5, and I was like, man, I've been playing this game forever, for years. I was like, how do you play the game this much? And then Destiny's like, oh, okay, 2,000 hours, and you just turned it on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's up.
So
that's it. Just Destiny. Go ahead.
I
CJ.
was just going to ask you, Tanner, like these things you need other people for. I assume like these are like raids and things. How long does does a raid take? Like, is it an hour? Is it 2 hours? Is it like?
It varies from the difficulty and what level everybody is. Because like right now, I think it's Grandmaster, or it might just be Master right now. You have to be like the recommended level is like 330 or something like that, or 1330. But I think Grandmaster is like 350, and you can't physically get to that number yet. And I think that one usually takes about probably an hour to 2 hours, depending on good teams. I can't imagine doing that right now. I don't have anything that's good.
It's quite a commitment. And then I imagine you'd have to be talking as well. It's not something you could just.
No, you gotta say it's a whole constant communication thing, especially like because there's like they like to throw in like little puzzle mechanics with some of the boss fights too. So two people got to be focusing on one side, other on another, two more on the other side, while two other people are doing other stuff. It's just a lot of like back and forth, and then you get like a small window to go do a damage phase, and then you repeat the cycle.
Can I ask you a question? Because I don't play Destiny, but it's an MMO in the same style. Do you like study the raid or watch a video of it before you do it for the first time, so you know how it works, or do you just go in and just try and see what happens?
I usually watch it, or back on Destiny 1, my buddy Bingo, he would pretty much know how to do it already. It's just a matter of us getting the mechanics down.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. As soon as you figure out actually how to do stuff and which weapons are the most effective against certain bosses, it becomes like a cakewalk at that point.
The reason I ask, sorry for the latitude here, Darrell, but the reason I ask is because
you're good.
I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, not much in the last 2 weeks, but quite a bit in the last 2 months. I'm really getting back into it again. And my primary character is a tank. And so in that game, like the mage is very important and the tank very important. There's usually only one per dungeon, or maybe two in a 24 or three in a 24 player raid. So if you fuck up as the tank, it's really obvious. Everybody knows, and it's a wipe for everybody. So there's not a lot of tolerance when you come in that position if you don't know how the raid goes, because they get angry and everything else. And it's quite often I've got like in and I don't know what's going on and I quit, which is really bad. Like kick the cord and you get a bit of a ban. But I just don't want to deal with the other people just throwing shit at me.
No.
But I took a DPS character in about 2 months ago and started running one up because it's a lot less pressure. Like if you die, it doesn't really matter because you're just fodder wailing away. And it's so like, so I suppose my question to you is, with Destiny, are there roles like that in that there is a character where it's not as important, and what is that character for my future knowledge?
God, I don't know if there's a character that's not important. Everybody, like all the classes have a very like they have 3 different like branches you can go down, and they're all like actually no, take that back. There's 4. They're all different like elemental damages and all that. There's certain ones that give you that like I'll use like Titan for example. That's what I'm using. It's more of your tank. Can be a DPS thing too, but you have an ability to pop a shield where if you're inside that shield, you get a buff to do more damage. So you'll use that for boss fights, so you can have a extra boost on a damage phase and have a little extra protection.
Mm.
And then there's one, I think the Hunter has a gold gun. It's strictly that thing is just strictly just throw as much damage down as you can. I actually seen somebody one shot one of the bosses on a strike, like instantaneously. I was like, really? I thought this was gonna be an ordeal, but never mind now. It caught me way off guard. I was like, wow, I want to do that. That's cool.
I'm showing my ignorance here, but is it the sort of game like I know you can have multiple characters, but you have to like you'd have to run up each character, I suppose, wouldn't you? So do you just play one type of class? Is that what you do, or do you have multiple?
So technically you can do all 3, and the way it would work is if you had one character that's at max level, you can take the gear that it's not using and then break it down for you can infuse other characters' gear with the other stuff, so that way their specific armor classes can get caught up to light level faster, so you don't have to do a bunch of grinding.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I know there could be a question about games and things later. That's why I'm asking a lot about this. But we'll get to
Yeah,
that later, I'm sure. But yeah, it's so funny because obviously they weight 2 different games or whatever, but they share the commonality. And the reason I asked about the video, listeners, if you're like, why would you watch a video? It's because like there's an expectation. And Tanner said, someone will know what they're doing, especially if you're playing a key role. And the problem is in these games is most of the people you play with because in Final Fantasy they push you into a dungeon, so you're not necessarily playing with people you know. They've done it so many times, and they're doing it again for loot or for their daily points or whatever. And they tolerance is very low for teaching people how to do it. And when you play like a key position, you've got to stand in certain spots, and you can't see yourself. Whereas I suppose I've been enjoying playing this other character because you can run around the map and actually see where people are in formation. And again, this is a bit of a problem on console. Like on a PC, it would be easier, I think, to get the overall lay of the dungeon or the land. But yeah, there's this real thing, and because I don't want to watch the video, because I want to do it the first time and experience it. But there's this whole culture in MMOs that you come into the raid and you know what you're doing, and it's a real disconnect, I think, with the casual. Like I don't know, Darrell, if you ever spent time in one, I'm sure you'd find this. It's a really hard curve for a casual gamer when you run into people like that, and most of the people are like that. I've found in MMOs.
It sounds like it, and honestly, again, that's another thing that like it's so intimidating. There's so many things to know, and I've never jumped into any MMO or anything like early. So like when I have attempted certain games like that, it's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to play with people that are very they don't mind teaching you. It's just whenever you are clearly being a weak link and not doing enough like damage or just constantly dying, then that's when they'll just kind of give you the boot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there are definitely like the funniest thing, like with the Final Fantasy 14, I had this illusion of getting the platinum in the PS5 version, but the grind is just insane on one of those trophies. It took me like 3 months to even get my head around how it works, and now I realize it's just insane. But part of the things you had to do, there were a few savage dungeons, so skill based things, and you got to have a team, and you got to have a team that really know what they're doing. And I've been in this free company, Phoenix Rise, for like a couple of years, but really been on the outer fringes, like the lower level. Like I only stick my head up when I need something or a question. And I just went in there, and I'm sure they're the same for Destiny. And like, they know me, like I've been there, but they don't know who I am or anything because I'm not active. And I just said, look, I need some help with these. I don't really know what I'm doing. And no, like most people are like, oh, fuck off. I'm not going to help a trophy hunter. And then this one guy is like, no, look, I'll help you. But he said, you're going to have to learn how to do it. And so we did it desync, which meant we didn't need as many people or whatever. Still hard though for a few people. And he actually went, like we spent an hour on each one. There were 4 of them. And we went through, and he didn't carry me. He's like, okay, so you'll have to stand here. You'll have to do this. And it was really awesome to learn. So there are definitely people like that. But yeah, they're not everywhere. unfortunately.
Mhm.
That's what's up. Yeah. I haven't had too much experience with any of that, and I don't know. I can see where it can be problematic, not having people patient with you. It's like, this freaking newbie over here trying to play the game. He sucks.
We scared
Yeah.
everyone off it now.
I almost had I almost had an experience like that today. There's these weekly strikes you do called nightfalls, and it's just they take a specific strike and they add extra light levels to it, so you can go from 12 I think it's 1250, 1290, 1320, and then 1350, and you just kind of scale up from there. The the two lower ones you can matchmake with. The other ones you have to have a fire team. So I don't have a fire team. So I match made, and my God, we're at the final boss. We're on the boss fight. It probably took us every bit of 20 minutes because we kept dying in the first to get part of it
Yeah.
out.
Dang.
I was waiting for people to leave. I was like, there's no way they're not going to stay. They're like fed up, ready to go.
They have this option in Final Fantasy, like once you've wiped like 3 or 4 times, you can instigate a vote, which means to quit the dungeon, because if you pull the cord, you get like a 15-minute ban from the game, sort of thing. They know what you're doing. So the only way to get out of the dungeon when you keep failing is for everyone to agree. And so, or enough people to agree so that the whole party pulls out or whatever. And so I'm sure maybe there's something like this in Destiny, when that instigates, it's the worst feeling ever when you know you're the reason. But they also have an option in Final Fantasy 14 of bypassing the vote and just kicking one person out if enough people vote against them. So you don't even know it's happening, and all of a sudden you're just out of the game and you've been
Oh, man.
replaced. It's brutal.
So I don't think there is a like a kick function like that. It's just you when it's your fault.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like on what was it, Little Nicky? Whenever the peeping Tom, the guy was getting chased by the bird that was going to hump him, he's like, "I deserve this.
Exactly.
I deserve this."
It's like that.
It's like
That's me in the MMO.
It's like
I deserve this.
you messed up, so you just got to take it.
It's gonna take this.
It,
Awesome.
It's so funny though. We'll move over to Darrell now, but it's so funny because when I sent you that evil existence, Darrell, in the back of my mind afterwards is like, he doesn't have a lot of time to finish games, and there are so many games he should be playing. I really shouldn't send him like recommendations like MMOs or trash like this, because he should be spending all his time on like the good games, because he doesn't, he's not wasting his life like we are, Tanner. He's an upstanding citizen. And then I thought back to a few weeks ago when the professional gamer from the mountains sort of, coach you on how to play a game. And I thought, well, fuck that. Who am I to tell him how he should play? So,
what's funny is I'm sitting back having that same conversation. You send me the evil existence. I look at it, and I had already glanced at it in the store.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is going to be some janky trash right here. I should probably be playing good games. And I was like, nope, download.
But it was great.
And I had a blast.
It was great jank, worth playing.
It was jank. Yeah. So speaking of what I've been playing, you had pitched. So listeners, especially patrons, so we are trying to find the balance between picking a video game for everyone or as many people as possible to play on the panel, so we can talk about it each month. That's interesting, different than whatever anyone else is going to offer you, and attainable, something that we can all access and beat each month. And so this month, we had already mentioned on the show we're going to do 12 minutes. But then CJ's like, 12 minutes. Me, CJ, and Clyde all kind of seem to have the same opinion of 12 minutes, that it's not that great. And or at least that's my read from our impressions, between each other. Mm-hmm. And so CJ's like, hey, let's try this out. This is like a janky little first person Resident Evil ripoff. This sounds like this. We can have a lot of fun with this. And I'm like, oh, I'm down. This is straight up. This is my alley right here. I download it and I play it, and I'm like, oh, absolutely. There's so many sequences in this game that is straight up rip off of Resident Evil 7. It is unbelievable. The knockoff version of Jack Baker that opens the door and punches you and then drags you into a room. The crazy old hag that's supposed to be like Marguerite. The fact that she chases you with the chainsaw, the same chainsaw that Jack Baker chases you with. And what's crazy is the game starts off looking really good for this game. And it starts to look worse the longer you play. Like the environments get worse. The geometry in the environments gets a little jaggier. It's not great. I got to be honest, but I had a blast playing it.
Didn't you enjoy though? Like there's I suppose it's sort of a spoiler, but I doubt anyone but us will play it. But how many times you had to unload the gun into the twin sisters,
Yes.
and then also stabbing the other dude? Just like minutes of
Yeah,
stabbing.
Yeah, you had to stab the dude with crosses like 100 times. Not really, but like, what's funny is I started the game off, I was playing it and I was enjoying it, and then I was like, well, let me see if there's any missable trophies. So then I pull up a guide, and the guide's like, oh yeah, there's 3 missables. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just kind of play along with the guide. And it wasn't a difficult game, so it's not like I needed the guide for anything, but like I wanted to make sure I didn't miss those trophies. And I'm glad that I was following it because I totally would have missed them.
Yeah.
Especially the first 2. But the third one in the cellar, we have like the 6 different doors or 7 different doors, whatever. And anyways, I would have totally missed that. And I would have never gone back and played it again for them. But anyways, so and there's a point where the guy in the guide was like, yeah, you got to stab this dude like a crazy amount of times. I'm just going to fast forward to the end of this because this is crazy. And he's like, I probably should have accounted how many times you have to stab him because you have to stab him a lot. And you do. Overall, though, it was a janky game. I would like for maybe you and I to sit down one night or one day and have maybe a deeper conversation about it.
Cool.
But it was fun, and I do appreciate you sending that one my way because I saw it in the store and I was like, I don't know. It looks like it reuses assets from other games that I've recently played.
Probably.
So I was like, yeah, this is cool. I can make games like this. I'm pretty sure.
You know, the funny thing is, like, you found it janky and all that, but this shows my tolerance for horror. I actually played it in 2 sittings, so I played it quite late at night, and I had to stop at one point. I'm like, this is quite an intense game in that bit where you're going between all the cells, and I was like, I think I'll just stop here. Yep. And then I didn't play it again for 4 days, because every time I'm like, oh, I'm not sure I want to play anymore at the moment. And I know it's not a scary game, it's janky. But.
Yeah. Well, the beginning, actually, it has a really good atmosphere. It's a little on the quiet side. But like once you get into the house, like that was pretty cool. Like, I mean, like I said, it had some. I will say this: if this developer keeps doing this, they will get really good at it. Because for a first time, now granted, straight ripping off some of the stuff, the scenes from other games. That was one thing, but I think it was proof of concept. You can do it again. And so for a palate cleanser, I laid in the bed last night and I played 2 completion Hybroxia, one of the Lily mode spaceship shooters. I had both of the Hybroxia games, Hybroxia 1 and Hybroxia 2, pretty much played up to the final mission on my Vita. And I didn't want to pop the final mission until I put them on my list for the backlog beatdown. And because sometimes I'll just have my Vita and I'll just be kind of playing. And I'm like, oh man, I'm about to beat a game. I should probably wait and finish that later. Well, I lost my 64 gig memory card died. So I lost my game saves. I was like, all right, well, one day I'll go back and play it. But I had them downloaded on my PS4. I was laying in the bed beside my wife. And I was like, you know what? A little Love Island and Hybroxia is just what the doctor ordered. Not really. We're done with Love Island. Thank the Lord. But so I sat there and played it, and I don't know. I couldn't sleep last night. I had a lot on my mind, and I was just I turned on. I'm a really big fan of music from the 90s and early 2000s. And an old band that hadn't put music out in a decade, maybe even longer, probably 15 years now, put a song out. and it is so good. So I had it on repeat and just playing Hybroxia, listen to the song over and over and over like I was in high school, like a freaking teenager. And it was awesome. So I played through all Hybroxia. Went and got the platinum on it. That was a lot of fun. I'm gonna start Hybroxia 2. I know that there's an update for Hybroxia 2, and extra like new game plus mode and all kinds of crap like that. So that was pretty cool. I was playing some Resident Evil Revelations 2. And I keep going. I have these if I get too much time to think, I start really questioning like how much of a Resident Evil fan I really am. And it's like, yeah, if you're half the fan you say you are, you would go and platinum all those games. And then I go, you know what, I'm going to do it. And then I start playing. And then I realize that I hate the trophy lists for the Resident Evil games. And then I start playing and then I bail because I just don't want to do what it's asking me to do. And today, as a matter of fact, when I got off work, I started playing Resident Evil Revelations 2. And you have to beat the game multiple times. All Resident Evil games, you have to beat multiple times. But you have to beat the game, and you have to beat invisible enemy mode, which is extremely hard. And they don't let you use all of your powered up weapons and things like that. And you can't add attachments and stuff. You can't access your bench. And it's frustrating, and it's meant to be frustrating. And I don't want to play that way. But I was like, you know what? It's basically a war of attrition. You just die a lot, and it has pretty decent checkpoints. So I was like, I'll just die, get to a checkpoint, die. That's basically how all the Resident Evil games are on professional anyways. So it's not like I'm losing much of, other than just frustration. And invisible enemy mode sucks. Like there's so many enemies. You can't see them obviously because they're invisible, and it's very frustrating. So I did the missions, or excuse me, the levels I guess are broken into 4 chapters. You do a couple chapters with Claire and Moria. I don't even know how to say her name. And then you do a couple chapters with her dad Barry and Natalia, which is a little character in there. And it's not fun. It's not the way I want to play. I don't really enjoy playing this way. I tried it and I tried it and I got mad. So then I switched over to countdown mode, where you have to do everything basically in a timer, and you can get like time upgrades. Like you can get these little hourglasses like in the old mercenary modes, but like you have a certain amount of time to complete an objective or find more time while you're completing the objective. And then you have a certain amount of time to go to the next point. And then there's a timer that runs for the majority of the mission. And if you make it to a checkpoint, but then you've run out of time, you start off with the amount of time you had left. So let's say you only had 10 seconds left once you get to a checkpoint. Then you have this endless loop of 10 seconds to get to the next thing, which is not enough time. And after 2 or 3 times of dying like that, I was just like, you know what? This is not fun. Like, this is why I don't have the platinum, because I don't enjoy this. So I bounced off of that. I've been chipping away at Agents of Mayhem.
Sorry.
It's gotten a little better. I've unlocked a couple more. I've unlocked some more of the agents. And the driving is actually really good in that game. So like driving around and just kind of being, it's not as chaotic and as hectic as like a Saints Row game. So it's not as satisfying. But I've leveled up my characters a little bit. And it's funny, my wife was watching Naked and Afraid of Love. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet.
I mean, that's my life.
Well, the only thing worse than being naked and surviving in the wilderness for 28 days is being naked and trying to hook up in the wilderness for 28 days. And so I was like, she's watching that, and I'm playing Agents of Mayhem. I was like, this is god awful. So I go and I get my headset, and I'm like, maybe I'll just listen to the dialogue in the game. Maybe it's gotten better. No, that's awful too. I was at this like crux of like, this is awful. Like Naked and Afraid is awful. The dialogue for some of these characters in Agents of Mayhem is awful. So I just turned on a podcast and just kind of chipped away at the game. It's not a terrible game. It's not the best Volition game I've ever played. So
I don't know. I heard you talk about that game last week. It's trash. There's no redeeming feature in that game.
it's got its flaws for sure. I really want to like it, but I don't hate it. So do with that what you will. It's not as satisfying as a Saints Row game. So right before we started the show, I queued up and started downloading Saints Row 4 Reelected on the PS4. Well, I'm on the PS5, but I'm just gonna play through that. I've got Saints Row 3 Remastered. I really want to go back through that one again, but I've already started Saints Row 4, so I was trying to maybe clean up that trophy list again. So we'll see. I'm jonesing for a good Saints Row game, and Agents of Mayhem isn't scratching the itch, but I got some trophies in it now, so I'll keep going for a little while. I don't know if I'll finish it. We'll see. It's not terrible though. It's this weird. Sometimes that's worse though. Sometimes when a game is not terrible and it's not good and it's not terrible, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes that's worse than just being one or the other. Sometimes I wish a game was just so bad. It's like, like Alien Isolation. The game is just terrible. Absolutely trash. So, and I've been telling myself that I was going to get on the podcast and I guess address the rumors on how incorrectly I played the game.
Do it.
I've probably got 17, 18 hours in this game. I don't really know, but I know it's a lot. I mean, the game was never ending. It was ridiculous. But I did want to say I played the vast majority of it, believe it or not, with headphones. Ambient lighting, like I had some green LEDs going every now and again, some red LEDs, just depending on where I was at in the actual game. It has a couple levels that are a couple sections of the game that are actually good. As far as like voice acting and, I guess the characters in the game, it was all not good. I won't say it was straight trash, but I do not enjoy Ripley's daughter. I didn't care for literally any other character in the game. Which you don't really meet that many of them, but there's certain sections where like she starts to kind of freak out as these people are being killed. And it's like, why am I caring about this person? I don't know. There's so much just empty nothing in the game. Like I really don't understand how survival horror fans and people can just be like, oh, this is good. And I've seen so much high praise for the game, and I'm just like, it's just not good. So there's just, it was so boring. Like I can't put into words how bored I was playing this game. I mustered through it, but I don't ever want to play it again. Like it's just one of those games that like I did it, and no, that's not even top 10, not even top 20. So
You're right. It's the game of the year.
No, I can't wrap my head around how many people think that this is, like top tier survival horror. Like once you figure out how the alien works, like sure on the harder difficulties, yeah, the alien is a little more chaotic and frantic and finds you. Like there's a certain point where the difficulty spike just ramps up and the alien just finds you constantly. And then once you get like the flamethrower and you can craft certain like attachments, grenades and stuff like that, or consumables rather, not attachments, like then the game moves a little better because you can, it's that risk reward of I need to complete this objective. I can do a thing. I can get the alien's attention, and then I can get back to, kind of what I want to do. So like, I don't know, man, like sometimes it works and it works well. Most of the time I was like, good God, is this ever going to be over? And you constantly find yourself Like go get a key card, go get another key card, go to this elevator or this little a little shuttle that's going to take you from one section to another. Go get a key card. Go get another key card. Go to this little shuttle section. And it's just like rinse and repeat. And it's just over and over and over. And it's just so boring. And then like, oh, okay, the alien's here. All right. Oh, now we have androids. The androids are worse than the alien. Like they do put some pressure on you, and you have to like dispatch them, or you have the option to rather. But then all you're doing is you're calling the alien to you. The alien will not interact. He won't fight the androids. So it's like, I need to complete this objective. I got to get my key card, my 700 key card. And it's like, oh, I need to get by this android. If I kill him, the alien's going to come. So then I have to distract the android. I mean, I have to distract the alien after I kill the android. And you just find yourself sitting and waiting so much under gurneys, under benches and desks and stuff, and inside of lockers. And it's like, it's just not fun. Like, it's just not a fun game. Now, it does some stuff really well. Like it does, like, like the alien looks awesome. Like the ship is fully realized and it's pretty cool. And yeah, you are on this, the creaking of the interiors, and just like, oh, you do go into zero gravity stuff. You go out on the outside of the spaceship to do some things. The nest and the hive sections are awesome, but they are so few and far between. The face huggers get absolutely freaking annoying because there's certain areas where you have to kind of crawl under debris and stuff. But then like face huggers come at you, and everything's one hit kill with the aliens and stuff. So it's like you have to shoot them, and the aiming is kind of janky, and it's just the shotgun sucks. It's not great. It's just not, it's not great. So I just can't get down with that being so highly praised. The game should have ended around the 6 to 8 hour mark. If it would have cut out some of the bloat and some of the just nonsense, like it could have been a much tighter experience, and I think it would have been better for it. So because it was so long and so drawn out, and then there's so many times where you think you beat the game and then it goes on, and then you think you beat the game and then it goes on, and then it's like, I think you get captured by the alien 3 or 4 times. Like it's just not, it's not great. So yeah, that's my mini little spoiler mini review on Alien Isolation. I will do a bigger one, a proper one for the Patreon, but yeah, as it stands right there, those are my gripes. Now there's more stuff to talk highly about and actual alien lore, but whatever, so that's me. Only other thing I'm playing is been playing some Call of Duty with MZ Nitro, and I think we're gonna jump into some Predator Hunting Grounds. So, but that's it. That's all I got going on.
Is that game crossplay?
Yeah, with PC it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun too. I played it with Cray. Gagum.
Yeah, I bought it and it's fun.
Yeah, I enjoy it. And as a matter of fact, while we're talking, I just got my head and skull ripped off by a predator, and then I was revived because the objective got reached.
Because
and
mechanics.
then yes, they put my head, my skull, and everything back in it. And then we were blown up by the predator because we downed him, and he used his little explosion thing on there. So
Just to backtrack slightly on your aliens thing, I wanted to ask because, like, you know more about this sort of genre than I do, and like I've seen the movies or whatever. It's all good, but like I don't have an affinity for the series or whatever. And I recently started playing this Aliens Fire Team or whatever it is that came out the other day, and
yeah,
like that's not supposed to be a narrative game. Like it's supposed to be a co-op shooter or whatever else. It does have some story in it, and I was reading this like. And it's had mixed reviews or whatever, but that's not the point. I was reading this review, and it's like, this series has always been hard done by, and in games, and no one's really done it right, and blah blah blah. And I was just like, do you think that's part of the allowance? Like that Alien Isolation is the best type of alien? Like I didn't even know how many aliens games there are, but is that the best type of it, or is that as good as they're going to get, sort of thing? Do you think that's behind it? Like it's a
Yes.
game of its time,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I think that you have hit it right on the money. The fact that like this is such a beloved franchise, and there's more missteps than there are good steps. It's like the first two movies were like amazing, especially the first one. Like everything horror has just been based off of that. You know, it's like uh, in some way or another. You know, like it's incredible. Same thing with the Predator movies. It's like you have these absolutely amazing movies in this IP, and yet constantly you're getting just garbage and trash put out with the name on there. And I honestly don't understand like why we've gotten so much bad, like representation, I guess is the best way to put it. Cause it's like across different mediums, it's like we'll get bad aliens movies, bad Alien versus Predator movies. Like I watched Aliens 3 or Alien 3, and it's not good. Like it's got a good premise, but like probably one of the better premises, really, but like it's just not good. So I think that like the Alien fans are like, wow, Alien Isolation is the best we've ever gotten of this franchise in video game form. Now the AVP game, the Alien vs Predator game, it wasn't terrible, but it controlled like absolute trash. Like I remember I've got it on one of the older systems, don't remember which one, and it is not good. So I don't know. I think that's what it is. Now I watched my brother play through Alien Fireteam on his stream, and it looks pretty interesting. So I'm sure it's not the. I mean, from what I understand, from what I hear, it's not the best Alien game, but it seems to have like a bit of a roadmap and a tail kind of built with it. So it's like it's reasonably priced and it's going to last for a while. They're going to keep adding content now. And just like watching him play it on the stream and listening to the guns on the headsets and stuff like that, it's like it sounds really good, and it reminds me of Aliens, the second movie. So we'll see. I'm gonna dig into that one pretty soon.
Oh, cool. We'll have to play some if you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't bought it yet. I actually had it in my hand the other day, and I was like, I just bought Ratchet. I haven't played Ratchet. I still haven't finished Returnal. You know me. I like to get all these games. Yeah, but I figured I'll pick it up in the next few weeks for sure. And it's reasonably priced. And like I said, the first DLC's already come out for it, and they're adding aliens and things like that to it. So we'll see. So maybe by the early holidays, Black Friday, something like that, it'll probably be, $20, $30 with multiple DLC packs. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the pricing goes, because I could be totally off base here, but I thought Disney was tied up in this as well or something, this game.
Well,
Is that right?
they own so Disney bought Fox.
Yeah.
Fox owns that property.
Okay. Yeah.
So now Disney is involved with the Aliens and the Predator franchises. As a matter of fact, I just read yesterday that Disney has wrapped up the filming for the new Predator Origins movie or prequel, whatever they're calling it. So, maybe with Disney backing it, maybe it'll be managed better, and we'll get, people that will take better care of the IP. Like Predator Hunting Ground, I've played it several times. It's really good. But who's done the Predator franchise the best so far, in my opinion? And I tend to talk about them both in the same opinion, in the same conversation, because the Aliens movies, the Predator movies, they came out and then they crossed over, and they're all in the same universe. But Tom Clancy, that Ghost Recon,
yes.
Wildlands?
Yeah, that is really good.
Dude, that Predator section, like as you're tracking it down, and the music from the first movie is playing, you hear the crackling of the Predator, and just that whole lead up to find him and then to battle with him was just absolutely incredible. Like that was so well done and so well realized. So I think that I don't know, maybe moving forward things will get better. So I can't speak on Fireteam yet, but like I really want to play it.
Yeah.
Um,
I sort
so
of meant from the pricing point of view, because a lot of these games like Predator and that Hunting Grounds and Friday the 13th before it, like they rely on, the general population playing it, because you need other people to play it,
oh yeah,
and so the price tends to drop. And the only reason I went in on this game, because those other games are no good for me, because like I tend to prefer playing by myself, is that this team does have AI that will be put in with you, so you can have 3 AI. And like, I'm sure if you're trying to do the missions on the hardest level, they're not going to be much help. But I'm just playing on a low level, and it's very doable with them. And if you're still having trouble, it has like a slider effect where you can make them like really powerful to sort of almost really help you out if you're getting stuck. So it is a game that, like, while I'm sure it's way better playing with real people, and I look forward to that, it is a game you can still make progress on if you're just by yourself one night or something. So, which is cool.
awesome.
Mm.
Yeah, which is that's how it should be.
Yeah,
I'm no game dev, but man, these games that are so contingent on having other people should always be playable
yeah,
without,
yeah.
because it's crazy how, like, when that audience dies off, like, well, who do you have left?
That's right.
Like, who's gonna play your game? So, but yeah, so that's me. You guys got anything else?
No, it's a lot.
No.
Yeah, that was a decent amount. That was a nice little conversation come from it. So, all right. Well, then I guess what we'll do is, before we head on into the Loot Bros leaderboards, now is probably as good a time as any to tell you guys that we do have a Patreon. We have extra content that gets posted every single month through the Patreon. We have a Super Loot Bros, an extra episode of Loot Bros podcast, and then we have the Loot Bros deep dive. As well as CJ does a monthly Xbox podcast, which goes into the free feed and the Patreon feed a little bit early. We have the Loot Bros Driftcast. That is the Kalai and Joe. They do the Nintendo focused podcast. That one goes live in the main feed and on the Patreon feed a little bit early. And then CJ ever so often does the wish list. So we got plenty of extra content in there for you guys. You can get in as easy and as early as a little bit as $1 a month. And then we also have a couple extra dormant podcasts right now. Like, I keep talking about them because eventually, very, very soon, we'll be dropping some new content with 2236 and the Comic Cast. Those will be starting back up at the end of October. I've kind of finally got my schedule figured out. I think I'll be able to start pumping out monthly episodes of each. And then hopefully very soon, my co-host for the Comic Cast, Josh Adams, will be finished with his comic book. And we'll be able to talk about that in there as well. So getting pretty excited about that stuff. You guys ready to head over to the Loot Bros custom leaderboards?
Let's go.
And basically the CJ's custom leaderboards.
Not on the PlayStation.
Well, we're gonna start with Xbox just because I'm curious to see what your so right now on the Loot Bros podcast custom leaderboards at trueachievements.com. CJ's in first place with 45,737 achievement points. So that would be 2 consecutive weeks of you hitting almost 50,000 points.
Yeah, I think I'm on. I'm playing now, so I'll have a look. I'm on 93,500 for the last 12 days, because I got 2 more days to hit 100. So easy.
Goodness gracious, that's crazy. That's awesome. So we got I'm Styling on you, bro, coming in a close second with 955.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
But he's probably been playing some quality. What's his last game? It's probably a quality.
Sunset
there you
Overdrive.
go,
Yeah,
quality.
so he's playing a decent. So CJ, did you ever play Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah, I played a little bit of it because it was actually when I got the X1, it came packaged with it. So I played a little bit, but not a lot. And I know it's Insomniac, isn't it? The Spider-Man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And Styling here, Jordan, he actually he's been going on about it because he really loves it or whatever else, and he's been having a great time. And it was on sale either last week or it might be this week too on the Xbox. It's crazy. For like $9 or $7 Australian dollars, you could get the game plus all the DLC. And I know the game's on Game Pass, but the DLC is not. So to get everything for $7 Australian, which is probably like free, nothing US, it was a good deal. So I picked it up to play it again in the future.
Heck yeah. I've tried to play it a few times. and I want to like it. I think for me, I would probably need to start that one over
Mm.
and then like get into the story all over again. So that was one of those that I started for a while and I was like, okay, I kind of get it. It's cool. Energy drinks make you into these little zombie blob monsters. That's pretty funny. And the traversal was pretty cool, grinding all the power lines and the rails and stuff. But it was one of those games that just didn't click. It wasn't like I didn't love it. And then I don't know. I've gone back to it 2 or 3 times and just kind of picked up where I left off. So I didn't. You know what? I don't often shout out the Xbox for things that they do exceptionally well, but I do want to point something out because my son has been playing the Jurassic World Evolution game, the park builder. And so he's been on quarantine. Some kid in one of his classes had COVID. So then he's quarantined for 10 or 14 days, whatever it ends up being. He can't be at school. So he's been sitting in my office. And once he gets done with his schoolwork, he plays video games. And then I've got an Xbox in my office. I have just strictly for Game Pass. And then I have a Xbox at the house. And so he's been jumping back and forth, and like I've kind of watched him play it. I played very, very little. Like I don't really get down with the park builders and things like that. But I gotta say, the fact that Xbox so seamlessly syncs and carries your save between your no matter what device you log into, we take for granted like how easy and seamless that is. I don't know how many people listen to the show swap between consoles as much as we do in our house, but like it's incredible. Like in any given second, we could have if it was PlayStation, we would have had to send it to the cloud manually, and then had to download it manually. And sometimes you got to do it with a jump drive. It just that is so frustrating. And then Xbox just boom, just like that, does it for you. So we've been jumping back and forth, and we've been playing a decent amount of Xbox in the house lately.
You can't.
Redbeard Rick, go ahead.
Can't sell that feature enough. Like for people that have multiple consoles, because I do the same. And like with PlayStations, there's like 4 different PlayStations around, so I have different games on them because I can't be asked uploading the save every
Right.
time. But on the Xbox, I've got like 2 Xboxes in different parts, and I can just you can have the same game, and it's such an amazing feature if you're playing on multiple systems.
It is. Like I've said this on the show before, but my bedroom I have a PS4. My office I have a PS5. In the game room we have 3 PS4s. Each kid has their own, and then we have a PS4 in the living. Is that right? Living room. That's too many PS4s. Somebody's PS4 is in there. Either way, everyone has their own PS4. But if I jump between them, depending on what room I'm in, it's like, oh crap! Did I upload my game save? No, I didn't. Like right now, I put Saints Row. I said I was going to play Saints Row 4. I go in there and I never uploaded my save file. So it's on the PS4 in my bedroom. I'm like, I can't. I can't fool with that. I'm just not playing now. So it's one of those things that like, that is a feature. And it got me thinking, it would be great to sit down one day and just maybe talk about all the features that like maybe go underreported between the consoles. Like I'm sitting here going through the PS5's new update, and it made some very, very amazing quality of life changes, things that should have been there from day one. And it's like, oh, finally, like this is so simple and yet means so much. So if only they would sync the saves automatically.
You made a comment last week. I listened to your show, and you said if I didn't have all these PS5s or PS4s or whatever they were, whatever it was, spread around the house, I would never get any time to game. Like I would never get any along these lines. And
Yep.
like that is like I think like I'm not sure like your listenership's a bit older too, but like a lot of people that game a lot, like they just don't understand that because they have all the time in the world to game or whatever else. But when you've got I don't have kids, but I can't imagine having kids and doing it. But like I work a lot, and there's no way that I could get the gaming in. I do if I couldn't move around. It couldn't move around with me. So
Yep.
it's almost like we're using these consoles like handhelds in a way, like they
Yes.
follow us around rather than we are locked into one room for them. So
Well, if I was limited to when I could be in my office in front of my TV with my PS5, I would play Friday nights while we do the podcast, which means technically none, because even though I'm mashing buttons in the background, my attention is on what we're doing. So it's more so just to physically stimulate me, not so much to actually do gaming. And plus, I can't hear what's happening. So I'm not playing anything story related. It's always a button masher of some sort, or, you know, a stack of a, you know, spam game or whatever. And like right now, I'm just watching myself die in Predator over and over and over again. Like I'm no good to this game. I'm just running around and like, oh, I'm dead. Oh, I'm dead. But like, so I have to do it that way. And Joe and I were talking before the show. Joe is going to be, this going to be for a little while now. Joe's going to be on every other week. And we're just kind of talking about like balancing the home life and the gaming hobby. And it's difficult because like my wife, she works, I work. We usually work opposite schedules. So whenever she's home and I'm home, it's like, oh, we should be paying each other some attention. We also have 3 children, 3 animals. Everything's fighting for your time. And the only thing I want to do is play freaking PlayStation. So what I do is I have to stash consoles around the house, and I even have one at work. So when I have a lunch break, that way it's like, okay, I got an hour, I got 30 minutes. Oh, you're preoccupied, you know, like, and that's the trick right there. If you're listening in, pro tip, gamers, if your significant other, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, furry, whatever it is you have at home waiting on you, like it, you don't want to be the guy who's like, they have to ask you to turn the game off to pay them attention. What you want to do is you want to have consoles stashed everywhere so that whenever they're preoccupied with Facebook, Instagram, Love Island, reality TV, whatever it is, you just slide into the console. So, okay, while you're doing your thing, I'll just sit right here beside you and I'll do mine. And before you know
I
it,
totally agree with that. But the other option as well is just to live in a country where you're now approaching the 12th week of lockdown, and you live in a house which is a reasonable size, and you're now at the point where it's like, will you just fucking get away from me for the day? And so you're living at opposite ends of the house, and you come together for meals and a movie, and like it's that it does wonders for your game as you slowly lose your insanity as you move into the 13th week.
that's amazing. Yeah. Here you are, 100,000 gamer score later.
It's the only way that could happen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, well, that I will say, and I'm sure lockdown has has a lot more cons than it has pros, but selfishly, we haven't been locked down yet, at least for the type of work that my wife and I do. So, you know, we haven't got to get sick of each other just yet. But I mean, maybe our day's coming. You never know. I will say, like, I was very blessed. Like, I got COVID, but I didn't have it that bad. Like I had a very mild case. And so after the, third or fourth day of, being not even that severely ill, I was quarantined. And I played a crap load of games for me. So
You do.
it's
amazing how much time you have. I had no idea because you haven't been, but most Americans were in for a year almost, I think, and it's just
some
terrifying.
are still there, still locked down.
Yeah, it's terrifying how much time. It's so funny because like we're doing like really degenerating now, but so because you have all this time, I'm on top of everything, even including my tax, which is like never happens when the accountant's always like I sent it to the accountant the other week, and normally he's like chasing me because I'm a year behind organizing it all, and I got a phone call because the awesome thing is not only do you have all this time, but because you're not spending any money on like random shit you normally do, you have a lot more money. And I had a phone call from the accountant and he goes, "Oh, I just wanted to check you're still in the same profession." And I said, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "You're spending a lot on gaming. Are you involved in the gaming industry now? Can we write any of this off?" And I'm like, "No, that's correct."
Well, y'all this time you're to figure it out, man. You got to turn it into a business somehow. So you know what?
Well, the funny thing is, working in music, there is a little bit of give and take on what you can claim. So there is a percentage of entertainment stuff you can claim as musical inspiration, but not to the degree that we buy, unfortunately, but something.
So all of the rhythm games, I would imagine, maybe even the Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games.
Well, it's sort of just like a total number, but unfortunately the number's not that high. So, but it's still something.
Gotcha. Hey, it's been.
Yeah,
You got to get yours from the tax man because he's going to get his from
that's
you.
right.
You know,
That's right.
anytime you got a chance to take advantage of the tax
Oh, I
man,
agree.
get it and get you some. Get you a second helping if you can,
That's right.
because he's going to get his. So
Yeah, treat yourself a little bit.
all right, and treat yourself.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right, because he's going to get you. You can't
Uh,
trust the tax man. So and then third place, I don't know if I've said it yet, but Redbeard Rick with 520 points. Shout out to Mr. Rick for his awesome score on that 360 lot. So he and I were messaging back and forth and sending some spank bait to each other. And oh man, I'll tell you what, I love seeing a fellow gamer just land a nice large haul of games. That was just, I love it. That gets me excited.
That's a crazy
So.
number of games for both of you. I saw that too. And he actually,
It
I
is.
hadn't heard, I love expressions. I love the manipulation of the English language. And he threw one out that I'd never heard before. Oh, good way to go. What did he say? You just went and pissed on my chips. And I was like, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I never
So
heard that
English,
either.
so English.
It really is.
I'll take it because I'm a visual person. I could just imagine him sitting there because he's shown his game room with that wonderful chair, and he's just there, and the chips are on the floor, and he's just taking a piss on them because you've ruined his day. I know that's the literal. I know that doesn't actually mean that phrase, but
right. Well, what's funny is he posted like a big haul like whenever lockdown first got lifted for him, and he was just like, yeah, first time back into the shops, and he bought like all these freaking games. I'm like, dude, like I had been on like a drought, man. Like I hadn't had like a big score in a while. And then I got a coworker who was just like, man, I got an attic full of games. And I showed you the pictures, bins of them. And I didn't show all the pictures because some of the pictures I took actually weren't very good. I just took pictures and sent them to my brother. But I counted, it was like 300 something games I ended up buying. So,
you know what I like about those photos being a digital buyer of games is that so I can't show them obviously, but what I like them is I don't prescribe this as a good way to live your life, but it's working for me, is that I've always been the sort of person that I look at other people and I go, whoa, that dude's doing way more than me, so I'm okay. You know, it could be like, drinking it and go, whoa, shit, that guy's drinking a lot, but I don't drink that much, so I'm fine. Or, whoa, look at these guys, they're buying a ton of games, but I'm not buying that much, so it's okay. And you justify everything you do based on, you find people that are at the extreme end, so that you're always not as bad as them. And when I see pictures like that, I'm like, see, I've got no problem at all.
well, what's funny is the other day you had like subtly mentioned, you're like, yeah, I got like something like 5,000 games. And I'm like, dang, that's a lot. And then I started looking, I was like, I got about 1,000 digital on. So when I look at my PlayStation 4 and 5, it's about 1,000 games. Then if you look at my PS3 library between PS3, Vita, and PSP, that's 1,300. Now, granted, there is some like crossover. Some of those games are on all the platforms, so it's kind of like I can't really count that. But then I was looking at my shelves, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I got about 500 of these physical games, and I was like, oh yeah, wait, there's 2 drawers in my bedroom. There's a shelf that's 4 tiers in my office. Okay, so I probably got about maybe 600-700 physical games. I was like, okay, I'm in the 3,000s now. Like, okay, maybe I do have a problem. And then I was like, oh wait, I have 2 shelves that I hadn't even accounted for. That's just strictly Resident Evil and PS Vita games. So I was like, that's another couple hundred. So yep,
so listeners, you should feel justified in going and buying 10 games this afternoon because Darrell's out there with thousands.
Treat yourself. There you go, treat yourself. I was over here feeling like CJ was pissing on my chips the other day because he's all like, I got 5,000 games. And I just started. I was like, oh, okay.
It's so funny. Like, we really the way the Xbox. I don't know if you've got into this because the Xbox has a PC store, or Microsoft have a PC store as well, and then you have the Xbox store on the console, 2 different stores. And the regional stuff is pretty good on the Xbox. So if you buy it in one region, it just shows you own it, so you wouldn't accidentally make the mistake of buying it again. But apparently on the PC store, that doesn't always work. And these guys in this thing, like, they've played everything, so they have every game. And this guy sent me a message the other night. He goes, I got so wasted. I started buying games. I already already own on the PC store. So it's even the same version, and not the same stack. And I was just, but it's just to
Jeez.
feel that, I had to buy something. So I was just,
Dude, you say that, but like me and my brother, we'll be texting back and forth like, oh man, work really sucked this week. I can't wait to go buy a game.
yeah, like terrible.
It's just like, it kind of is, which is that's a shame. But I get excited, man. Like sometimes I'll just hit the flea markets here because I'm like, I need to buy a game. I need a deal. I need to feel like I accomplished something with my money.
Yeah.
So that's how it is, man. So I guess I should probably get into the other leaderboard, huh? Instead of just continuously ranting about buying games. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So we're going to head on over to the PlayStation leaderboard. And for whatever reason, it did not want to load because I know for a fact I had more trophies. Yep, there it goes. Boom. First place, Resident Darrell with 62 trophies. Not a whole lot when you're talking 50,000 gamer score on the Xbox side, but
I could see why you wanted to reload that to get the right number.
well, it only showed like 40 something. And I'm like, wait a second. It cut me off early in Hyroxia, and I platinumed that game, so I got to at least get credit for it. Not to mention, I kind of, on True Trophies and True Achievements, they send you a nice little email, like a little message whenever you complete a game. And I wanted my message. I wanted them to say, congratulations on completing your game. Second place, Enzy Nitro with 18. Ooh, that's not a lot for second place. CJ, man, you left us here you gave us a week of where we could just flex all over the leaderboard, and we didn't. We failed. We let you down. You got that one Seagal in third place with 15 trophies. That's not a lot. So we're just gonna stop right there. That's nothing.
Well, just before we move off the trophies and the leaderboards, if you can, next week, because I know there are some degenerates that like a bit of trophies, and there are some reformed degenerates now that have nothing to do with trophies, or new accounts or whatever else. But next Saturday, I think it's the 25th of September. Now, this is an American thing, but it's available to so 25th of September. Apparently, in somewhere in America, it's National Hunting Day. Whether it's the whole country or a particular state, I'm not sure. But that's the official thing. And on the PSN profiles, which I know many of your listeners would frequent for their stats, they have an event run by this dude. It's a free to enter event or whatever, where they try and earn as many trophies as they can in one day. So if you think you're going to be playing sometime on the 25th and you're on that site, all you got to do is go to the thread. It's in the competition thread. It's like the National Trophy Hunting Day thread. All you have to do to enter, you don't even have to say you don't even have to associate with these people, is you just tick the box at the top saying you'd like to enter, and they'll include your score. You can earn 1 trophy or 100 or whatever you want. It all goes, because it's not an individual thing. It's just like how many the community can earn in one day. And I think last year they earned 5,500, and there were a lot of people involved, obviously. So if you think you're going to play on that day and you want to be involved, it's just a bit of a laugh or whatever else, not a competition or whatever, just a community event, then jump on and do that. And who knows, maybe you'll be the leaderboard champion that week if you knock out a few on that day.
Sounds like a good day to spam some rat plats.
I think that's what a lot of people do.
I'm sure Rat makes a lot of money on days like that.
Week. Yeah.
Everybody's stocking up on spam for the weekend. Oh man, I tell you what, they are really doing God's work. They are constantly churning out games. There's no shortage of rat plats. So we'll do a big backlog beatdown update next week when Kalai is back. As it stands right now, there wasn't too much change. A point or two here or there. I got a few extra points. So we're going to wait until she gets back to do a big backlog beatdown update. So Tbyrd, with that being said, do you want to head over to community questions?
I don't have them brought up.
Oh, Tbyrd, well, I'll cover for you while you bring them up. I know we got some good ones. And actually, CJ, you wrote into the show before you had committed to being on the show.
You can hold my question.
So you were going to win because you had a wrestling.
Hold it till next week then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hold it till Joe's.
You got a wrestling
That'd
question.
be a good one for Joe as well.
Yeah, he'd appreciate that. So, Tbyrd, just let us know when you're ready.
All right, Gaz Davis, what is your favorite time of the day to game and why?
I'll let y'all go first.
Mine's easy. I prefer gaming at night. I don't know. I think it's. I hate gaming in the morning. I don't watch TV or try not to or do anything like that before 12 because I think you need to be productive at least a little bit in the day. But having said that, now that I'm an old man, I keep waking up fucking earlier and earlier. So sometimes I actually game for an hour at 5 till 6 a.m. I don't mind that either, but predominantly at night or like early afternoon into night. There seems to be something about playing. I don't know, Tanner, if you have this, something about playing like an RPG, like an Assassin's Creed, and like starting at 3 o'clock. And you probably don't have this because you have kids, actually, but starting at 3 o'clock and then, sipping a scotch or whatever, and then looking down and it's like 9 o'clock and it's dark outside. It's like perfect RPG time, I think.
Mhm.
Neither of you both have kids. So, like in 40 years, when they finally move
I don't have
out.
no kids.
Oh, don't you? Oh, okay. Sorry.
No,
I
no.
thought you did. Sorry. well, you'd know what it's like then. Yeah.
Trophy. I just got a trophy for dying.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Tbyrd, when's your favorite time to game?
God, actually, kind of like right now, like I say 10 p.m. till like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, because you got that night shift schedule, so there's no one up to bother you. You can game without any reservations. You can just go.
Yep, I've done that. I was just God, I can't remember what game it was. I think it was Ghost, just tearing through it, and next thing I know, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh no, I need to get up and do something at least, move around.
Yeah. So years ago, I used to work a weird second shift. Second shift. That didn't make any sense. I used to work second shift. It was 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. So it's not quite night shift, but it's like right in the it covers that section of the afternoon where everyone's off work and actually functioning. And so I used to unload trucks for Walmart, and I would go to work, get off at 1, come home, everyone's asleep. Everyone I knew was either asleep or going to bed. So I would sit in front of my Xbox. This is back when the OG Xbox was out. Excuse me. And I would just game. I would game till 6 in the morning. And I have some of my fondest gaming memories from just going from 1 in the morning to 6 in the morning. And just like I was playing, like that was back GTA 3, GTA Vice City, the first Fable game, tons of Halo. I would just sit there and just play and play and play and play. And I've told stories on the show before where that was when we had our modded consoles. So like you would beat a game and then you would just go in there and change the name of the game and put like a little asterisk at the end of it. And boom, that was my sign of completion. And my brother and I would kind of flex on each other. Like, look at all these completed games we got downloaded to our consoles. But yeah, I played so much games, so much Def Jam Fight for New York and Def Jam Vendetta, so much GameCube freaking wrestling. Like that was a really good time. Now, granted, it gets a little lonely after a while, but there's no one to bother you. No one to stop you. So I can imagine Tanner right now, like that is the best time to game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a problem whenever I keep playing Destiny and I need to find a team.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, as for me personally, right now, I'm in a weird spot with gaming. Like I used to prefer to get up early in the morning before everyone in the house woke up. And so I would get up at 4:30, game until I had to go to work or before I had to get my kids up for school. Now, I don't know. I'm having trouble getting up in the morning. So I like to game in the evenings, like that 9, 10 o'clock at night until, 12, 1. It just depends. Like I said, my wife's getting ready to go back to night shift. So that's going to be prime game time, baby. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So when she goes back to nights, I think I'm gonna get serious. That's why I'm gonna start tackling some bigger games because I know that I can actually commit to. These are the 2 nights that I will for sure have large amounts of game time. So I will be able to jump into like a Red Dead or go back in Grand Theft Auto 5 or Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima. Like these games won't be near as intimidating because I'll be able to say, oh, Saturday and Sunday nights, that's what I'm playing. Whereas right now it's like, I mean, maybe this week, maybe next week. And then in 3 months when I actually have time to play again, it's like, oh, I done forgot how to play the game. I got to start over. So I've been formulating. I got quite the list of things I want to get done. So, and her having to commit to this for a year to 2 years means I'm going to set some pretty strict goals for myself. So who knows?
There's not. I was just thinking when you said that, there's nothing more exciting than when you've been like you've had a really big week or you haven't had time to play or whatever else, and like whether it be a Saturday night or Sunday afternoon or whenever you actually have like a solid amount of time to play, and you've planned out what you're going to play because you've been fucking around all week working and you haven't had any time, so you know exactly what you're going to play. It's so exciting. You sit down to play, you play for 3 or 4 hours or whatever. You get to the end of the session and you realize you didn't play anything you were planning on playing, and you made almost no progress, and it's like this massive depressive hole you fall in and you're like, no.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
That's how it works. or even the better one is whenever you wait all week long, you get a setup, you get ready to go, you put the controller in your hand, then you fall asleep in your chair. So
that's prime Darrell right there.
Dude, my wife took a picture of me and posted it on Facebook the other day, and I was like slumped down in my chair and my belly sticking out. I was freaking controller curled up, and I was doing this weird thing with my fingers. I was like, I was so excited because I think she left. She had something she had to do, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" The kids were busy. We had already got done with all the sports. The wife was busy. And I sit back in my chair. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play games for a couple hours. And I didn't make it past the opening menu of the game. Didn't play at all.
I remember that picture because I was like, is he throwing up gang signs?
That's what it looked like. Look, I was throwing up blood signs with my fingers. They were like stuck to each other a little bit. It was weird. But yeah, I didn't play the first. I mean, my son was like sitting beside me. He goes, "Dad, you didn't get out of the menu." So I was like, well, there was that. I guess I'll try again next week. So
that happened. Well, I mean, maybe to not that extreme, but that happens a lot to me. Like I'll load up a game and I'm ready to play it, and then I'll look at the thing and I'm just like, no, I can't do this today, and I just turn it off. I was thinking the other day, the stores should have a policy when you buy a game that if you buy it and then you don't play it within 5 days, they just give you your money back, because you obviously thought you were going to play it at the time. You buy it and you load it up and you're like, no, I'm not playing it. So
yes.
Could you imagine? Because then you could just keep buying the same game every 5 days and you get the rush of buying the game. That's all you need.
It's like, oh man, well, you wouldn't believe how many times I buy games because they're on sale.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, oh crap, I already have this physically. Like I almost bought Saints Row. It was crazy. I was flipping through the store before the show, and I was like, I want to play Saints Row. So I was like, I'm just gonna download Saints Row the Third. I know I own it, and I own it digitally and physically on PS3 and Xbox 360. And I was like, so in my mind, I was like, oh, I have it on PS4 or PS5. I'll play it there. So I go to download. I go to bring it up. I'm like, oh crap, I own the original, not the remastered. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and buy it. I mean, $15, $16, whatever it is right now. I was like, that's totally worth it.
Yeah.
And then sitting right beside me, like a 1 arm length over on the shelf, is Saints Row the Third remastered in the wrapper. I'm like, oh,
that's why you should have bought a digital only console. So now you've got to buy it. So
no.
So you can justify it.
I mean, you might save more money that way, man.
That's right.
Maybe, but I thought about it. I was like, man, should I open my copy or should I just buy the digital one now? Because I got this new thing, and I say new, I've been doing this for a while, but like having unopened copies of games, like sealed copies of games, is kind of like been my new secret obsession.
You gonna go grade them?
Maybe, don't tell Joe. But like man, I have a lot of sealed in the box games, and it started off as like an unintentional thing, and now I'm like, well, now I kind of want to keep them sealed. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn, but I've got like the G.I. Joe game that just came out sealed, the new Transformer game sealed. I've got Saints Row sealed. I've got like all the Neo games sealed. Saints. I mean, Ages of Mayhem was sealed since it first released. I just opened it like a week or two ago, 2 weeks ago.
These are.
But I've still got. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say,
Sorry.
these companies must be loving the lockdown, because the most exciting thing here in Sydney at the moment is at 11 o'clock each day, the stores update, Tuesday through Friday, the digital stores. So the most exciting time of the day here is 10:59 while you wait for the store to update. The most depressing time of the day is 11:01 when you realize there's no new games for the day. Lockdown living, it's wonderful.
No, what's funny is I was going. So what I started doing, these freaking dogs are tearing up everything in our game room, and so I started moving all my games and shelving units down into the basement. So I moved them down, and I've just been kind of like cataloging and categorizing all my games and stuff. And I was putting all my stuff up, and I was like, man, I've got close to 50 sealed PlayStation 4 games. And I was like, man, this is awesome. So I have like just a section just for those. And I was putting them all up, and I was like, oh man, I forgot I never opened this game. Oh man, I forgot I never opened this game. And I was going through all of them. And I was like, oh wow, I've got Ratchet and Clank, the PlayStation 2016, like sealed in the box from when it came out. I never opened it. I was like, dang. I mean, I platinumed it digitally, but I was like, man, I'm sure I paid. I think I paid full price for that, which is what, like $40 upon release or something. But yeah. Anyways, I got a problem. What's the next question, Tbyrd?
Jared writes, there has been some Eminem talk on the show lately. Darrell is very wrong thinking peanut is the best. I disagree. Peanut butter is the best. There's an insane amount of different M&Ms. And what are the other Loot Bros' favorite M&Ms? Do you want me
CJ,
to?
do they have?
Do you
He
read off
put
the
a whole
list?
list. You don't have to do that.
Okay.
CJ, do they have M&Ms in Australia? Is that a popular candy in Australia?
Yes, they do. When we got electricity the other day, the M&Ms came as well.
Oh.
It was a big day. Everybody came out of their house briefly.
There you go. I'm sure that you had to clear that with the government before you came outside,
I hear
right?
you eating these like
out.
you were talking about this, and like I think of M&Ms in the movies here. Like that's the only time you have them. I mean, I know they're in the shops; you could buy them, but it's like a movie food. I can't imagine just
It is.
having them as a.
So, believe it or not, for a big guy, I'm not huge on sweets. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of dude, and I eat a lot of it. But every now and again, I'll get on like a sweet or something, and then that'll be my thing for a little while. So, for a while there, it was donuts. Like I just every chance I got, I would just eat a donut. I was eating like a donut every morning for breakfast. Like it was kind of, and then I just once I'm off of them, I'm off. Like I couldn't tell you last time I had a donut. And like right now, it's peanut M&Ms. Like I saw them we were grocery shopping one day, and the grocery store I went to had like a big. I took a picture of the wrapper the other day. It's like a big sharing size, is what they call it, and it was a huge bag. And I was like, oh man, those look good. And I ate some, and I was like, wow, this is great. So now every week I've gone back and gotten another bag. And I actually finished the bag this morning, as a matter of fact. And I don't know, that's just been my thing lately. So, but there's so many of them that by the time I'm done eating, my jaw hurts because I've been chewing peanut M&Ms for so long that like my jaw's tired. So I really can't I can't agree with Jared on the peanut butter M&Ms. You may as well just have Reese Pieces.
Yeah.
And I don't like Reese Pieces.
Yeah, I agree on that one. They're good, but the peanut M&M is pretty much the best.
I would have to agree. Now a Reese Piece every now and again is good. Like Halloween time, we always have the parent tax on the kids' Halloween candy.
Naturally.
So we have to go in and get the first fruits. So I'll go in there and I'll raid the candy bags, and it's like, naturally peanut M&Ms. Those are coming with me. And then every now and again, I'll do like a little snack size Reese Piece, but that's all you can have. because after that, it's almost like it's too much. It like kind of burns you a little bit. It burns the throat.
It's almost too sweet.
Yes. So
That's cool.
now I will say, a tub of popcorn,
With some
like
peanuts.
warm popcorn. Throw some
Yes.
Reese Pieces or some peanut M&Ms in there. That's good.
Classic.
I don't even like popcorn, but that's the way to do it if you're going to do popcorn.
The funniest thing about all that M&M talk, though, was the fact that came up with that episode with the pirate and Joe. And I don't remember if you were on, Tanner, because I think I died briefly in that episode. It's so fucking
I
boring.
died several times.
Yeah, I know. So I could hear your body swinging or whatever. Clive's just farting from the ass or whatever, like last week. And then unbelievable. And then even Darrell's like fucking. He's like, these M&Ms are gone long ago, and like you could feel his pain. He's like. And they just kept going and going. And I mean, look, you got to love the man. He loves the PlayStation. That's obvious. But I mean, running at almost 3 hours, it's a bit much.
Then they started arguing each other's points for each other. It's like, after a while, they switched over. It's like, I forgot what team I'm on. I'm just arguing because I like arguing. But no, it was like I said. I had my bag of M&Ms, and I was like, I'm gonna let them go until I'm done. And then when I ran out, it was time to end the
There's
show.
someone there listening now going, I
longer.
wish I had a bag of M&Ms. This show never ends.
I think if you had a bag of M&Ms that last you the length of our show, that's a big effing bag. So,
True that.
all right, Tbyrd.
Shadowless Edge. Who's your favorite Hall of Famer? I'm assuming it's wrestling. 2, or you may just break it. Can we do one at a time?
We'll do one at a time.
Okay. Favorite Hall of Famer.
My first thing popped in my head was Stone Cold Steve Austin. If I had to have a second place, it'd be Bret the Hitman Hart.
Very solid. Very solid. I don't even know. I couldn't remember anybody besides those 2, honestly.
There you go. That's all you need. What about you, CJ? Favorite WWE Hall of Famer?
I don't know who's in it, so I wouldn't be able to answer that. But sorry, but except for that guy that I looked up, he's a real dude, apparently. Hopefully, he's quite good. That's what they said in the thing.
He will be a Hall of
Good,
Famer. Yeah,
good.
he is.
But I think unfortunately here, Cameron, he's like you could like snap him between your little fingers. He's a little dude, right? So he's not into the wrestling at all. And I think he's referring to Hall of Famers on the Xbox side, the Hall of Famers, because he is one. So I can answer that my favorite Xbox Hall of Famer, of course, is Makar, who I had the privilege of talking to many times. He's a wonderful dude, and he's my favorite Hall of Famer.
Oh, okay. Well, then I think my favorite Stallion.
I think he would be as well. Surely he would have.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
I
reached out to him because he was making a game or something at the time, and maybe we should follow up on that at some point. And I never really heard back from him, but he sounded like a really interesting dude. He'd have an interesting story, a family guy as well. Yeah, but anyway, that's
that. I'd love to talk to him because I follow him on Facebook and stuff, and I started following him because he was the first person to hit 1 million gamer score,
and then clever enough to stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did what he had to do. He's in there good with the Xbox, and he posts every so often. He'll be like, "Oh, here's the 10 easiest gamer score games on Game Pass right now," and it's pretty cool. So he seems like I enjoy his content. I don't know. I can't really say he's a cool dude or not because he could be a total douche, but I would say I enjoy his content, what I follow from him. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Cameron was just trying to get, like a
bit of self-promotion.
A little congratulations right there. And I'm sorry, you are denied.
I bet Cameron's favorite Hall of Famer is Cameron, and that's all that matters.
Hey, well, I always say, love yourself like Cameron loves Cameron.
But it would be interesting to see him in the ring with one of these massive dudes and just see if they could snap him in half with their finger. Because I think they could.
There you go. Maybe he wouldn't have used their finger.
The guy from down under has been snapped in half. Oh, Biden on the microphone. I don't know where I am, but he snapped him in half.
Chocolate chip ice cream.
God. All right, second question. CJ, what feels better to pop, trophies or achievements?
I think you're popping the wrong things, sir, because neither of those things. But it's a fun. No, I was thinking about this before. It's a funny thing because none of us are completionists. We just play as we like. So I think I play the place, and you said this tonight as well, Darrell, when you were talking about Resident Evil and things you don't like to do for the platinum, so you don't do it. I don't think any of us like we pick up what we want, but none of us will necessarily go out of our way anymore for a platinum. And I think that's why I like the Xbox. And I know you all want a platinum or some overall trophy on the Xbox. I know I always hear that in all your shows that it's a big thing. It would be great to have, but I actually quite like the thousand list. And if you get 900, or if you get 700 or whatever, that's like it's enough. Like and I think that's how I play on the PlayStation. Like I get a lot of platinums from the easy short games, but a lot of the big games I finish. But there's so many ridiculous requirements for the platinum that I'm not going to do that. So I think just the acquiring of the points is more maybe now than the actual platinum trophy or trophy. So in some ways, I think that's why I like the Xbox idea of just a number better.
It was hard for me to switch because I don't know. I think I switched over. I could be wrong. Around 60, we'll say 75,000 achievement points
Mm.
is roughly what I had when I switched over, kind of full time. I guess you'd say to PlayStation, and that was really hard to switch on because I agree with you. Like the completion percentage didn't matter; it was just get points, and all the points added up to this one number, and it was very satisfying to play that way. Um, whereas when I switched over to chasing trophies on PlayStation, the if I know I can't get the platinum, I 9 times out of 10 don't even play the game. And now when I guess I should clarify, if I know the platinum is unattainable anymore, like if I was to put in a game that you can't, like the servers are shutting down for Max Payne 3. So if I was going to load Max Payne 3 up for the first time, I would think twice about it, possibly not even play it because there would be no chance of completing it. Even though I'm not a completionist, it's this weird thing in my head where it's like, well, I can't do that. Therefore, I should probably do something else. And with Xbox, it's not like that. It's like, oh, I can get some achievements, I can play the game, and then when I'm done, I'm done. It's very, very different. And so for me, it took a while before PlayStation and trophies became the one that I wanted the most. So for me right now, it would be trophies. I enjoy I'm very invested and I enjoy the trophy pop, and then the platinum is very satisfying when I get them.
Yeah.
But I definitely see the appeal of the achievements for sure. And I always thought the achievement sound was better than the trophy sound. Which that might sound silly, but like
It's 100% better.
dude, that's a good little
Well, they have
pop.
the rare
Like for
sounds.
years. Well, the rare is cool. And see, the PS5 changed the trophy sounds, and they're good, but like I don't think they're as good personally. But the and the rare sound is cool, but man, for years my text tone was the achievement sound.
Yeah.
Just it's a good freaking sound.
It's funny too, because like the other, like I was thinking about like the other day now, because I'm playing much more on the Xbox, is I've got to actually think about where I want to play the game. But because you're probably not going to play it twice, depending on the length on both systems, except for maybe Life is Strange. But and maybe other things. But it's funny because I think Microsoft having produced such a better machine, it's made it easy for me too, in that I'm not going to play. Like I'm going to play Far Cry 6 on the Xbox. I'm playing Tales of Arise on the Xbox. I played Life is Strange on the Xbox first. I'm going to play any big game on the Xbox over the PlayStation because it's going to be a better experience. There's no question. Phil's assured me of that, and I mean, Phil we trust. But there is enough short crap on the PlayStation that I don't miss out on any trophy rising or platinums because you can just play all the garbage there. And that system, I don't care what anyone says, Darrell. The PS5 plays spam better than anything. I think it's just it's at home in the 3-minute game. And so you can play those games there, and then when you go for a real meaty experience, you go to your machine that can handle it.
Hey man, you got to be good at something.
That's right.
Well,
I can't wait for the day
I
when Ratalaika becomes a first-party studio. It's the best acquisition that if Sony bought them and made them exclusive, fuck, that would change the market in trophy and achievement hunting.
it would do something. It would definitely do something. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm hooked on the PlayStation 5. Like I'm kind of having issues going. This is really weird too. I'm having issues going back to the PS4. Not, I love the controller for the PS4, but like haptic feedback is, I really enjoy that. I really like that extra little buzz, the adaptive triggers. Like I don't know. That gimmick has really spoke to me.
Yeah.
So I've had a hard time even swapping internally between PlayStation consoles because I'm like, oh man, like I kind of wish I could play even like Predator right now. Like that was part of my hang up with Agents of Mayhem, because even the standard rumble in Agents of Mayhem is so subtle, and there's not really a lot of feedback when you shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't know. I am enjoying this way more than I thought I would. So I don't know, even if
I can't. If you do play the Life is Strange with that haptic controller, because I noticed it on the Xbox, but then played it a little, and it was the same on the PlayStation one. And it's the most. I think someone in that studio must have had a bit of a laugh one night, got on the piss and just bumped the settings right up on a few of the scenes. And there's a few scenes in there where the haptic feedback is so strong, the controller's buzzing, that I feel embarrassed for the controller. It's like you're holding it and you're like, well, this is just embarrassing. And I'm the only one in the room, and I feel that way. It's like I haven't played any game like it. It's like I need to put this thing down. My whole body is vibrating or whatever. It's just, and it's so loud too. It's like, like my God. Like,
dude, that's how the guns are for in Resident Evil 8 when I'm using the assault rifle. The trigger is gyrating, the controller's gyrating. It's like it's like, man, that's obnoxious. I couldn't play this beside my wife at night. Like I could not.
No,
She would it would drive her insane.
Well, the reason why I think this is a misstep is it's actually in one of the spots it happens. It's quite a quiet scene, and I can't even hear what she's saying on the TV because the controller's going bad. This is wonderful.
Oh man, yeah. I'm pretty sure there's some people out there have done some unspeakable things with their controllers.
I tell you what, if you're going to play that game and you want to know where those scenes are so you can adjust yourself properly for maximum effect, I can let you know. Message me.
CJ's starting to write guides now.
This is why.
But
This is why I bought the other stack. I want to get that controller positioned properly this time for when it goes off.
CJ's guides aren't written around trophies. They're written around the haptic feedback.
This is how you really pop, sir.
You asked which one you like popping more.
Oh, it's obscene.
That's terrible, Tanner. Totally terrible.
Oh yeah. If you could make a game, what would you make?
I've got this idea in my head for a Pa-Rappa the Rapper style game.
Why'd you say it like that?
You don't like the way I say it?
I'm just asking why you say it that way. Sounds weird.
Because that's the way I talk. But I've got an idea for a game like that, but where you play metal music and your character headbangs constantly, and you click it like the mayo jar, and you
lost me.
Yep, lots and lots of haptic feedback. Obviously vibrating to the rhythm of the guitar. So it's basically $199 US, multiple stacks, playable on the Vita. Obviously without the haptic feedback on the Vita. It's a game changer.
It's not bad. Mine is even more profitable. I would make Genshin Impact 2, and then I would retire.
That's just give me all of the gotcha money.
That's right.
Basically.
That's awesome. What about you, Tbyrd?
I That'd make Miyazaki make Bloodborne 2.
Ooh. And you could retire all the Bloodborne money. I figured you would make a video game based off of your superhero origin story.
Oh yeah, the Dick Rocket.
Oh my God. Listening back to that while I was editing the show, I was cracking up. I was like, I had a good laugh off that one. So, what else we got?
Are we saving CJ's for next week?
Yeah, save CJ's for next week. He's not here.
Cool. All right. More Jared. Probably when Sinra Kagura does Darrell enjoy playing the most? Is it Mur? I'm just going Mur. Is it the weird big anime titty demon mask wearing high school girl? I assume since he loves masked vigilantes, the one girl that puts a mask on is this girl. His underage anime titty girl.
No, I like the older one with the katana fans. I forget her name. I think it starts with a T. She's a little more modest, and she's got these fans that she can freeze the enemies with. Yeah, she's pretty good. I think she's one of my highest level characters.
Not all of those games are dreadful, like most of them are. But that one, the Sengen Kagura, the PS4 one, the latest one, I think there's a new one coming out, which he did give you the option to play, but you didn't go with. That's actually not too bad. The rest are all garbage, or smart. But that one. But the funny thing is, the one he's playing now, you should rib him a bit because that one is on the Vita, the music rhythm game. And it doesn't matter what buttons you push because the game doesn't recognize them anyway. In time, but at the end of each scene, if you do it right, the girl is spread eagle on a cake, and you have to touch her on the screen. Now he hasn't. I noticed that he hasn't been talking about that in the chat at all in the Facebook, but that's what happens, and he knows that happens too. And there's no child mode in that, Darrell. You have to experience the whole thing there.
So he's over here making me play this pervy anime game and then belittling me and making fun of me for playing it on the the good wholesome Christian mode. And then he's in there on the public transit playing spread eagle on a cake mode.
He knows that mode would have seen you divorced. That's why he didn't suggest it. There's no way your wife was watching Love, whatever it is, while you were playing that.
Love Island while I'm playing Senra Kagura.
That one would not have cut the mustard now.
No, I picked the one that was on Vita specifically so I could play it on my lunch breaks and I could conceal the anime. But he also he actually sold me with the fact that if I platinum it, then I can auto pop on the PS4. And I was like, oh well, sold. Sign me up. It's not a bad game.
No.
I enjoy it. Like the combat loop is pretty good. It's something that I do in bite sizes. I can see where it can get really monotonous, really boring. The story is trash, so I skip it. And overall, it's not bad. There's a Hyper Neptunia Senra Kagura crossover coming out, I heard.
That must be the one. Yeah.
So, which I played Hyper Neptunia Blanc versus Zombies. I think that's the one I played on the Vita.
Can't imagine you as a nip. I really can't. Your love of anime and everything. I just yeah.
Well, it was on sale, and this was probably my first experience with a game like that. And the combat loop was good. I beat the game. I think I was gonna go for the platinum, but then it got super grindy and boring. And that was just it. So.
Yeah, they're not all like. I mean, you probably won't play another one, but the Senran Kagura Burst, which was a 3DS game, but they remade for PS4 like a year or two ago. That's actually got a decent story. It's actually quite a good game. If you haven't played it, Jared, you should. I'm sure you probably have. There's tons of stacks, but that's actually it's very Japanesey and like it's got a good story. The only problem is that all the girls are like 12-year-olds with their tits hanging out. But if you can get around that, the story is good. But the one that's probably the best of them all, Darrell, and you'd like this, and probably Tanner, is the Peach Beach Splash. Have you seen this one?
That's the third person squirt gun
Yeah,
shooter.
it's really good. Like, admittedly, you've got to whip out your weapon and shoot her in the you know where for the money shot, and there's a trophy for that too, a couple of trophies for the money shot. But if you look the other way on that, it's actually quite a good game. That one, for real. I'm being
Jeez.
for real. That one is one of the better ones.
Yeah, yeah. You know what they haven't done yet? They haven't explored, because the thing that drives me insane about anime is how young everybody looks. And I'm like, what about the old women? Where's the cougar anime
when they
at?
do them,
Mm.
they're just as big boobs and everything,
Usually
and
bigger.
they're like less dressed.
There's one old lady in Senran Girl, right? And she's fully clothed, and she's the most modest out of them all. I'm like, wait a second, that's discrimination.
Mm.
Why can't the old lady be in her swimsuit just like the rest of these young ladies?
It's so funny, because like all the anime is all male fan service or whatever, and then in Persona 5, I'm sure it was in the base game, but also in the Royal, there's a scene where they go to the beach, and there's two guys there in these skimpy guy bathing suits, and this old dude comes and cracks onto them, and that scene almost got banned in the West because of like, oh, we don't want to see these guys getting on with another guy or that, but at the same time, you can see your chicks with their tits hanging out at the age of 5. It's not a problem. So it
Yeah.
was but in Japan, that's not a problem. That's like, that sort of thing is so, no, not just any sexuality is so open there in their games, which is such a bizarre for such a repressed society, that their art and their media is so open to any forms of
It was
sexuality.
very weird.
Yeah. And
Not to mention they have the panty vending machines out there.
yeah, that's right. It's just crazy.
That's freaking weird.
Yeah. Some anything
so
goes
weird.
there.
Oh well. All right, Tbyrd, what else we got?
We got Matt G. Out of the following 3 games, which would you 1 erase from existence, 2 condemn to never get another game released in the series, and 3 can only release remakes / remasters of games currently released?
All right, what are our games again? Call of Duty, Resident Evil, and
Soul
the
series.
Souls games. I would say so. Remakes and remasters, re-releases of Call of Duty games would just
They'd sell like hotcakes.
well, they do, and I've bought all the ones they've released so far, but that's not what I want. So I would say, because I'm not good at Souls games, I would erase the Souls games. I would do releases and remasters of Resident Evil games. And then what was the third option?
Never have another one of the games.
And then I would just say, you know what? We would never have another Call of Duty, which is not what I really want, but for the sake of the conversation.
Yep. Okay.
What about you, Tbyrd?
I'm gonna erase Resident Evil from existence.
Oh, monster.
Exactly.
Felt personally
now
attacked here.
now you feel my pain. Yeah, I can live without having another Souls game, and just remakes of Call of Duty.
All right, CJ.
I'd go remakes, masters of the Souls games, in the hope that one day they'll do it so many times they'll eventually put an easy mode in, or a discovery mode as well, where you can just walk around and just tap the enemy and he falls over, so you can enjoy the experience. That would be awesome. Then I'd probably get rid of Resident Evil games because I don't really play them, so that would be fine by me. And what was the other option? Erase. Like they never
It's a
exist.
race, and don't ever have another game made for the franchise.
Probably, I have a feeling that the campaign in Call of Duty is less likely to happen every year. Like this year's was really good, but the way with Battlefield,
Yeah.
so as soon as that campaign stops, the game is irrelevant to me because I don't play the multiplayer. So I suppose for me, they could just stop if that's what they're going to do. I think, yeah, and then erase the Resident Evil just because I don't play them. So I might as well be selfish and make everybody else suffer as well.
Spoken like a true trophy horrors cast
If you
member.
don't like what I play, then fuck off.
Dude, that drives me insane whenever I'm listening to a podcast and somebody's like, hey, I don't like a thing, therefore it shouldn't exist. I'm like, wait a second. There's another option here, guys. Just don't buy it. No. This shouldn't exist. Like listening to Mark, Duplex, Levi, and Alex on the same show it's hard because it's like, come on, guys. Like, just because you don't like something doesn't mean it has to go away forever.
That it's
then
funny.
here we
I
are.
thought about that. No, not about that situation, but a similar on those lines. And it really it frustrates me a lot when because like obviously play a ton of games and or bits of games or whatever, and it really frustrates me a lot when people dig in on certain series like this is amazing or whatever else, and they become so blinded in that. And there are so many, and that their opinion is going to change over time as they see more stuff, and they'll be more open. But when they like when you listen to people talk about this is what frustrates me. When you listen to people talk about games, quite often people just bust the narrative, like they bust their nut. That's all they've got to say about the game. And it's really hard to talk about a game and not talk about the narrative, but interest people. So to be able to talk around the game and sell it, if you like it or whatever else, and be honest about the game and give the listener the impression like as if I was listening. So I want to know about it, but I don't want to know like the story. I don't want to know this. I want enough held back that
Right.
interests me. And the problem is with these people that latch on to, and I think it's like a fault in me because I wish I had like one game that I was like, oh, all the other games when I just play this forever, it would be awesome. So like that's a shame that I don't have that. But on the flip side, people that do that, and I'm not talking like Levi here or them, but just general podcasts when you listen, people that they and maybe they have more than one game, but they're on these games like this. There's no need for anyone else to play the game because they've just said everything anyway. And also they've created this way of like the game, in your mind that it's just done, and I don't know, like I think sometimes those people that push so hard on certain games, they should maybe take a step back and realize that they're actually deterring people from playing them. And perhaps it's a better art or it's a better way of like, really selling your game in such a way that that person can pick it up and play it in their own way and enjoy it. Because I don't like, like trying to recommend a game for someone is really, really tough. Like it's easy to just say, play this, but to recommend something they really like is really tricky when they
Right.
play a lot of different things. And when you do it, you don't say you're going to like it because of this reason. You just give it to them and you don't say any reason. And hopefully if you've done it in the past and you did right, they trust you and they pick it up. And then one of the awesome things is, when they come back and say, oh, I really enjoyed that game. Thanks for recommending it. But it's almost like that little bit of a seed is a way better attitude if you want someone to play the game you really love than to just belt them over the head with every aspect of it. And then to get frustrated when they don't enjoy it in the way that, you saw the game.
Yep. Or criticize them for not wearing headphones the entire time.
Or
Yeah.
make fun of or
Yeah.
making fun of their flashlight simulator game.
No, don't do that.
It's hard,
So,
you know,
yeah.
because like you like I really love this style of game. Like there's a ton of games I love that I know neither of you would love at all. So I would never suggest it. But it's about knowing the gamers as well, I think, rather than
Mhm.
just what if you're going to talk. Like if you're just listening, of course you just play what you love and you sell that. But if you're consciously talking to other people about games, you have to temper yourself so you don't ruin the game, and then you also have to be realistic to what other people like as well.
I love listening to people talk about games passionately and then going, oh man, I want to play that
Mm.
now because they spoke so highly about the things they enjoyed about it without making me feel like I played the game already.
Yeah, it's really hard to
So
do. Hard to find people.
it is. It is. It's also hard to, when you have a negative opinion of a game, to give that negative opinion. Like I was doing with Alien Isolation earlier. Like, I don't understand the hype, but the game, and I will do this in depth later, but like the game does some things really well. So there are people out there who are going to love the things that it does well enough to where that's going to carry them through their experience. For me, that wasn't the case. And I might not have done a good job of it earlier, but it's hard because sometimes you're like, this frustrated me so much I didn't have a good time, but maybe there's things that happen that would carry someone else through the entire experience. I don't I don't know. So it's really hard to give your opinion
Yeah.
unbiasedly, you know?
I think so. And I think like the problem with like reviewers in general is that there's no point reading a reviewer unless you understand that reviewer. Like, you have to understand what they've reviewed in the past, the way they see things, their outlook on life even can affect whether, like, you can read the review, but whether it means anything to you or not, and whether you should play it is solely based on how you understand the person that wrote it or said it and what they enjoy.
Right.
And if they're a blank slate to you, then you can't take anything they say as necessarily good or bad for you as a person or whatever else. And I think like there's a lot tied up in that. And I think once you get to know a way a person games, when they don't like a game, it doesn't mean that you won't like it. It's just that, in their style. But I do notice that like I have to temper myself because, I get a lot of trophies or whatever else. Therefore, he only knows about the trophies or whatever else. And they don't play this or they don't play that. And I think there's many times where you just bite your tongue and you go, well, I know this game is not for you, but I'm not going to say anything because it just comes across as like, how would he know? He only plays 2-hour games. So, but it's interesting. Like, it's an interesting mix.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree. What else we got, Tbyrd?
Got I think one more. Yeah, one more. I asked this a couple weeks back, but Loot Bros never seemed to be able to all connect. It's about the Patreon tier where supporters get to make you guys play a game. It's kind of a good thing that this gets asked now. Darrell was exempt because he had 2 games to play, but he beat Alien Isolation this week, so I think he should be available for another game of torture. All Loot Bros agreed to play a game for a supporter who paid. What game do you think your co-host should be chosen to play so you don't have to play a game you don't want to?
So he's trying really hard to pit us against each other. Like he's very much into this idea that if we expose each other's weaknesses, then someone like himself could go in and swoop up, and make us play against. Like I spoke about how much I couldn't stand Alien Isolation, and then Patreon producer Enzy Nitro was like, "Huh, gotcha." And so there I am. I talked about how I don't like anime games. I don't want to play pervy games on public transit. And then here we go. Jared comes in and he gets me with the Senran Kagura. So, I don't know. Is there, if I know we made jokes about like making Kalai play like racing games and things like that. But if I know guys like CJ, CJ, you play a little bit of everything. You dabble in enough stuff to where there's not really anything you won't play, but there's stuff that you don't enjoy, correct? I mean, is there like a genre that you just don't love?
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny because, like, I did this idea originally on Push to Plat, but I stole it from Platcast because they were doing this, and it worked well for them because they were both completionists. So when they started a game, they were going to see it through, even if it basically killed them, and they gave themselves a year to do it or whatever else. And so that concept was really good. And then I didn't like because I'm a bit naive, I think. And I thought, well, people will pick games they'd like you to play so that, perhaps they enjoyed the game. So then you can talk about it or do a dive or whatever. And it'll be like a positive experience. I didn't consider the fact that most gamers are fuckwits and they pick games deliberately, as you say, to fuck you. And then, people pick Bloodborne shit like this, and I'm like, fuck me. And then like, and some bastard put Fortnite in or something. I mean, like these fucking jokers, like it's ridiculous. And so like I think, yeah, you like obviously I know you're not going to put an Elder Scrolls Online in or something like that. But yeah, I think the only genre I don't play a lot of, which is weird because I used to play it a lot when I was a kid, is like the strategy genre now, like Civilization games, that Humankind that came recently to PC. I just
Yeah.
don't play those games anymore. It's not that I hate them. I just they don't work well on console, I don't think. But I could play them on the laptop. But I think that's probably the only genre I don't play at all now. I avoid completely. But not because I hate it. Like I should play it at some point. But yeah.
What about you, Tbyrd? Is there anything in particular that you steer away from? I mean, I've known you long enough to know that you play RPGs, you play hard games, you play shooters. I mean, you'll play horror games. Like for the most part, you play about anything as long as it's clicking at the time. So is there anything that you stay away from?
Nah, honestly, not really. I think like my least favorite thing is like puzzles and platformers, but that's about it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Puzzles and platformers are some of my least favorite stuff as well. If done right, I'll play. And of course, if the plat is short enough, I'll play. Because I play a lot of puzzlers and platformers when it comes to these rat games. But yeah, whenever we were coming up with our tiers, I am familiar with the Platcast. I've podcasted with some of those guys before, and I listened to their show at least for the first, I don't know, 50 episodes or something like that. And I do remember them having that tier, and then I remember you adopting that tier for your Patreon, CJ. And I was like, well, I really liked that idea. So when we launched ours, I was like, just like you said, being naive, I was like, man, people will say, okay, this is my favorite game. I want you to experience it. And of course, the first thing we got were the complete opposite of that. So,
I mean, I'm fine with
which
mine.
I welcome it. Yeah. What do you got? You got Final Fantasy VII, which I think is a good one. That was a good choice.
Yeah.
Jared likes you. He obviously hates me.
You don't.
But
You
I
don't
mean,
have to like platinum it though, do you? You just have to like finish it.
no. This is just to
Yeah.
see it through the game. Now, my thing is, if it's attainable, I would like to go the extra mile to have that extra but I'm like Alien Isolation, never gonna happen because you have to beat the game on survival mode. I couldn't live through another playthrough of that game. Senra Kagura, most likely I'll platinum that. So and I think that's going the extra mile if it's attainable, if it's fun. So I don't know. As far as like pitting people, if I had to pick stuff for you to play, I would say CJ play through the original version of Resident Evil 2, or the remake. Just a little too different. For Tanner, I would say My Name is Mayo.
Okay, a 10 out of 10, 100-hour game I get, and Tanner gets a 3-minute roll in the hay. It's ridiculous.
No, you can beat Resident Evil in about 6 to 8 hours. First
the
playthrough.
normal person can, but not me.
So, we were asked last week while we're on the subject of this, how the you, me, and Levi got together and kind of like gave each other games to play, and said we'd check back in a few months to kind of see how that's going. I think I'm the only person who's completed any of those games.
No, I
now.
basically completed Dying Light. I'm right at the end.
Oh, that's right.
I haven't quite finished, but I'm still on my console, so I will finish it. And then Gears of War, I believe you gave me, which I'm going to do. I think we're going to co-op that with Starland at some point. And I can't remember the others. I think I played one of the others. I have to check what the other two were as well. But
I know you gave me
Half-Life.
Visage, and
I'm halfway
almost
through Half-Life. Still.
Gotcha.
Halfway for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So CJ is farther along than I am.
What I was thinking when you mentioned that, like competition things for next year and stuff, I was thinking like towards the end of the year. We did this thing last year, the wonderful Eigen Space. She does a lot of events for trophy communities, and she created it can only work for a very small group of gamers. Like you can't have a massive number of people; it doesn't work. But she crafted this event for us, and it was I think it was only like 6 or 8 people in the end, which was quite a nice number. And the idea was that you picked, it was like a holiday sort of event. I think it ran for like 3 months or something, and it the idea being that you would nominate a list of, I think it was like 5 games, might have been 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. Now they could be on at that stage it was predominantly PlayStation. I think you could put other platforms, but it was a PlayStation community. But you could have any community; it wouldn't matter. And the rule was, though, out of the 5 games you nominated, you had to have finished all 5 of them or platinum them in this case. So you couldn't just nail people with bullshit games that you'd never played yourself. And then it was like a draft system. So she rolled a dice or whatever, and everyone got put in an order. And so X was won in round 1 or whatever, and they would pick a game. They'd have all the lists, and they could pick, someone's round 1 list or whatever. And so you sort of like, you get a bit of a choice. of what you play, but if that makes sense. But it's still from someone's list, and of course, all those lists had to be put forward by people that had actually completed those games, and it created this
Gotcha.
really good atmosphere because it's not about who wins or finish first, but this really good atmosphere about like, oh, I never thought about playing this game. I'm going to play it now, and you also had someone you could talk to who had played it, who had finished it if you got stuck or if you wanted to talk about the game. And it could only ever work in a small grouping. But I thought something like that could be fun, as well between maybe the hosts and maybe the Patreons, perhaps. Just a small grouping.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can create a bit of discourse and involvement and maybe steer it more away from that I'm going to nail you with this game to, let's learn about these games together or share.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I like the idea of doing something a little more intimate, especially involving the patrons.
Yeah.
Because both the Be Legit this year and the Backlog Beatdown have very much seen themselves into, we had a large amount of people start, and we're down to a very small amount of people finishing and seeing the events through. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I do like Gareth actually brought up in conversation in the groups, just the community aspect of doing these events and doing them, doing a year-long thing that gives us,
Yep.
just a little pieces of conversation here and there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that
so
I think they're really,
I like it.
really good. Only to piggyback off that, because this last 2 weeks, part of the reason I did this gamer score thing is because I'd like to meet people in the community. And these sort of events, they never work well to meet people because everyone's playing and they're in their own groups doing things. But these events like you're doing there and these things on smaller, work on yourself, they can open the door a little bit. And I know you use Facebook, some people use Discord or whatever. And like there's a ton of people in your Facebook group that I don't know, that I'll never know or whatever else, but there might be one or two that you'll meet through these sort of things, and you might strike up a like Jared. Like he seems like a really nice dude. I don't know him at all. It just the nature of the way it is. And but as you say, you have these back and forth, but there might be someone that's like, yeah, I play those sort of games, and they'll reach out, I suppose. And it sounds like you and Ponder, you've got to know each other. I've known him,
Yeah.
for a while through trophies on and off and stuff, but not good friends or anything, just in, acquaintances or whatever. And I think like that's really cool that you can do that. And I think this year too, you got maybe some more hardcore trophy people that came across that have been moving across. And so you're getting to meet some of them as well, which I think is awesome. So
Absolutely.
they are good.
Yeah, so Jared has Jared and I have gotten to know each other pretty good, and we've had some, we talk about all kinds of stuff outside of gaming, we stay in contact weekly.
Mm.
I mean, about like me and you do, we talk pretty regular throughout the week, but Jared and I, we get a little in the weeds about, politics and things like that, and family stuff, shout out to Jared. He just had twin boys.
Awesome.
And here lately, I've been doing a lot of gaming with MZ Nitro.
Mm.
And I've really enjoyed that. My son and I have been all playing Call of Duty Zombies. And, we got to know MZ. He's obviously been listening to the show for a while, but he jumped in the Backlog Beatdown. We've had a lot of conversation and things like that. And so it's been great, man. Like these events have, and Gareth and I, we've talked a good bit. He jumped in the groups talking about, hey, I don't have a lot of gamer friends in real life. But he's got this community, and he's got, he's had the Push to Plat community, the Trophy Horse community, and our community. I mean, that's a large amount of gamers to reach out to and talk with. And we've had conversations, outside of gaming when it comes to, like football. And of course we call it soccer here, but he's like, hey, I'd play amateur, ball. And if you ever need any help coaching, cause I coach my kids' teams, and, it's been cool. So these events, I want to keep doing them. As long as I'm podcasting, I want to have something going that keeps, people checking in each week or each month or whatever. And I want to change it up, and I want to do something cool. And I like the idea of doing something a little more intimate. And maybe we can have like a larger thing running and something a little smaller, shorter bursts, for the patrons or the people that interact with us the most often, the ones that are going to stick to it. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to continue to do these. And I do have an idea, and I want to pitch it right here.
God.
Now, this one will be more for the trophy and achievement hunters. And it's something I've been kind of sitting on for a while, but I didn't really I didn't know how to put it into practice. So I just want to throw it out there. But I wanted to do, I don't know if you do it weekly or monthly. I'm not really sure. You could probably, the people who hunt trophies and get trophies and achievements. Hey. Could probably do it weekly, but I was thinking about trophy and achievement Scrabble, where you would be charged with creating the most, or coming up with the most creative word based off of the first letter in the trophies and achievements that you acquired for that week. I don't know how familiar you are with Scrabble. But like my wife's really good at it because she's smart. I always spell perverted words if I can, just because that's the extent of my vocabulary. And but anyways, I was thinking about like, because there's all these different events on the different sites or whatever, where like, there's like the ABC event or whatever, where you have to get an achievement or a trophy for each letter of the alphabet and things like that. And so it got me thinking about how hard would it be to pick and choose your trophies and achievements based on spelling words, or like look through your list. Like, okay, I got 67 trophies this week. What can I spell with the first letter of each of those trophy or achievement descriptions? Which, when you do 100,000, you can write a book. So
I like that. It's so funny. Like, I think because like 4 years ago, before I knew any of you, the trophy, like all the competitions really started to kick off on those sites. They didn't exist before then. Well, there were small things maybe people ran, but not like they are. Well, they were. And for about 3 years or so, and definitely I know when Ponder was playing more on the PlayStation, they were really big, and they're not big at all now. They're different because a lot of people run their own, like you guys are doing with your thing. And that's what I feel like the way those forums work. Like, I don't know anyone there now. It's a whole lot of new people or whatever, but the danger of those bigger things and those bigger communities as well is that nobody knows anyone. And that's really awesome when you're young and you're gaming or whatever. And that's how a lot of gamers are. They're very flaky. Like, you don't hear from them, then 6 months later they send you a message like, how are you? Like, you spoke yesterday, and you're like, well, this is kind of strange, but whatever. And it's that's the nature of many gamers. But as you get older, like, and I'm sure Darrell, you're in the same position, you don't have the time to invest in relationships that are just not going to be anything. Like, they're just a waste of time, or they're really for the other person. Yeah. So you don't engage. And and I see that on the big sites all the time. Like, a lot of people I know have gone, or they don't engage anymore. And I don't really either, I suppose. But it's just, you're just not interested anymore, and you've met the core group of people you've met that are really awesome, and so you just stay in these little small niches of gaming, I think. So if you've made it this far, you're part of this niche, I suppose, in a way. But you can do these these small event things, I think, are good like that, for that, if that makes sense.
absolutely.
Not necessarily the big.
So just think about it. I want to marinate on how to do a trophy or achievement Scrabble. And I thought about even if it wasn't so much an event, like just like a quick segment or something, where it's like, oh, this week I spelled penis out of these achievements.
You know what happened? Every week JT would spell poop sock, and he just get every game that had poop sock. And how do you own all these games that have poop sock?
He would have it figured out.
Little did we know Radalaika was sending us a secret message in every trophy list. Poop sock.
Poop sock every time. I popped them in this order specifically so that I could spell poop sock. Oh my gosh. I bet JT, as we're talking, has already figured it. Before this episode is finished going in his ear holes, he's figured it out.
I hope so.
So, Tanner, we got any more questions, or did we just...
That's it.
All right. Well, guys, I don't even think we need to get into anything else. I think that 2 hours and 30 minutes of good conversation right there, man. I think that's the kind of stuff that dreams are made out of. Wet dreams, anyways.
Hey,
Tanner, CJ, thank you guys so much for coming on here and shooting the breeze. I always look forward to having you guys on and us talking and cutting up. It doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like we're doing a show. It's like a couple old buddies hanging out and doing the thing. So I appreciate you guys. Y'all If you're listening, if you made it 2 hours and 30 minutes into the show, we greatly appreciate it. Check out the Patreon. Check out the extra content we're doing. There's going to be some bonus content coming up here very soon. And then, of course, the monthly deep dives will continue. I put a poll up in the Patreon. So for all the patrons of any tier, I put a poll in there just looking for some feedback. So if you're a patron of the show, please check that out. Let us know what you think. And I think we could have some fun conversations based off of some of the suggestions I put in there. So with that being said, CJ, Tanner, you guys got anything you want to add before we go?
Yeah, I'm going
here?
to throw one thing or two things really quick. Next Saturday, National Trophy Hunting. Go on, tick that box. Even if you contribute one trophy, it'll help those dudes out, and it'll be a lot of fun, whether you actively participate or not. And the second thing I want to throw out, because we didn't get to it, and I won't be on next week, so we won't get to it for a while, I think, if you're away the following week, Darrell. But there are so many amazing games coming out in the next 3 months or to the end of the year, next 2 months or so. I'm sure we're all going to pick up all of them, but there's no way we're going to be able to play them. It's a personal request of mine. If you're playing any of these big titles, please reach out and tell me what you think without spoiling the game, because I'll need to have some guidance on what to play first. So I'm going to try and do them all, but I know that's not possible.
Yeah.
So please let
Same
us
here.
know.
Man, I can't believe how good Deathloop is scoring.
Yeah,
Like,
I have it here.
that is surprising to me.
Hopefully soon.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Let me know what you think. I wasn't even planning. It wasn't even on my radar. I was like, yep, that's one I'll skip. I don't care for the loop idea, even though it does have like a Quentin Tarantino vibe. I was kind of feeling that a little bit, but I'm not the biggest Arcane fan, so I didn't know where to go with it. And then I saw the scores come out, and I'm like, huh, there's something here. People are saying crazy, outlandish things like Game of the Year.
No, it's great. A lot of people don't realize, but starting last week with Tales of Arise and Life is Strange, Deathloop this week. Next week's the new Judgment game. Every week from now to till December, unfortunately, because of Dying Light, there's a big game coming. So, good luck to you if you're going to try and play them all, because there is some amazing stuff coming down the pipe.
Well, don't worry. Dying Light got delayed till February.
I know. That's why I said till December. Then there's a big hole.
Yeah. So, we're going to have Dying Light and Horizon Zero Dawn, or Horizon whatever it's called, is going to come out in the same week. Watch.
Oh, God.
We can all play the single player Halo as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, Lord. Hopefully it's better than Guardians.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna dive in on that one, and I'm just praying that 343 finally figured it out.
I don't know. I think they could make the best game ever released, and people will still shit all over it because of the position it's in. But we'll see.
Well, let's hope I hope you're wrong on that one. I think you're right, but I'm gonna hope, and we're gonna, hope against all hope that this is gonna be the game of the year. They have been very quiet about the campaign, so I'm hoping that's because they're like, yeah, this thing is a banger, and it's gonna come out. And I don't know. I got high expectations for it.
Well,
so I didn't dislike Halo 5. It was very short, and I played with a group of people. I had a good time. It was all 4 of us. We ran through the campaign in one sitting one night. So I had a good time with it. So I'm hoping to have a good time with the next one.
All you have to remember, Darrell, is these 4 words, your life motto, the way you should live. You live this way, you'll have no problems, listeners, in your future. In Phil, we trust.
Yep. And in old Jimmy Ryan, we pay our dues.
Or Jimmy Ryan. Jimmy Ryan, Biden, my God. Okay.
Whoa, that's unfair. Jimmy Ryan might have the personality of a wet paper bag, but it's more personality than the dementia patient. So, poor Jimmy Ryan.
Jimmy Ryan's running a casino that just happens to have a console as its main product.
Jimmy Ryan's running a casino, and then Joe Biden's got his ice cream cone wandering around like, look at all the pretty lights. Which one's Jimmy?
Poor ponies.
I knew a Jimmy once. And I sniffed his hair.
In Phil, we trust.
All right, let's get out of here. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said, check out the extra content. We hope that you like it. I want feedback too, patrons especially. Check out the stuff we're doing. We're trying to do different things over there, stuff that you're not going to get everywhere else. So let us know what you think. This is the Loot Bros Podcast, and we are out of here.
What will it be? Time is running out, the blood is flowing down the streets. People need to know we're living in a war zone.